Oh yeah, right. Just do it right when it starts. That's a good idea. That's a great idea. Hi there. Hi. I'm Uncle Game Boy, and it's so very late in the morning where I'm at. It's 3:17 in the morning. Can you believe it? Fuck me. What am I even doing right now? Well, let me tell you. You might be familiar with a movie called Food Fight. It's a funny little shit of a movie that people on the internet love to make fun of. JonTron made a fucking YouTube video that got 20 million views. Alright, so if you didn't see it, there's probably something wrong with you. But it's a really bad CGI movie that is about brands. And what do they get up to when the supermarket doors close and whatnot? You know, it's a lot like Toy Story. One could even say it's basically exactly like Toy Story, but with food. But with food, you know. So I don't feel the need to discuss it. But here's the thing: they made a novelization of it. They've made novelizations of so many books and movies. Sometimes that wasn't a flub, because sometimes they take, believe it or not, they take like a book like Matilda that's based off of a book already, and they make a novelization of it rather than, oh geez. Sorry, as I was saying, they make a novelization of it regardless, but make a book out of a movie usually goes the other way around, you would think. You never know how to start this shit, so I might as well just get into it. But here's the thing, it is very late here. Normally I wouldn't be doing this stuff at this hour, and I'm not entirely sure how loud my impressions of like Charlie Sheen, and I'm gonna try to be, tread lightly with doing Wayne Brady and what's that guy's name? Christopher Lloyd. All the fucking people that are in Food Fight. You're gonna be hearing really, really good impressions of all of them as I read this book. So, the other people that live here might get very upset with me and tell me to shut the fuck up, and then at that point the stream will have to end. But until then, I'm gonna do my best to read this book and do the voices. Here's one thing I'm going to say real quick. I was reading ahead just a little bit. I didn't want to spoil anything for myself, but like, I did see that like I think that there was a little bit of a, I don't know what the hell you'd even call it, but some sort of problem where they couldn't have the brands as they are in the movie in the book. Like, they must have not been able to work out the same rights deals or whatever for like the Vlasic pickled stork. It's a stork. I was gonna say pelican. I think he's a stork. Or like Charlie the sun-kissed tuna fish, or Mr. Clean. So they're described as like something like the bird with the glasses who loved pickles, rather than calling them the Vlasic pickle bird or whatever. But then they have the brand names for the ones that are made whole cloth for the movie, like Dick's Dog Detectives, cereal sleuth, cinnamon sleuth, cereal sleuths. So I don't know. It's fucking all over the place. It's gonna be crazy, folks. But I think it should be fun, a fun little lark to read. So, did I say lead? I think I said read. It doesn't matter. One of the benefits of having a Twitch stream that nobody watches is that you don't have to worry about making mistakes or anyone giving you problems or anything like that, or just being a nasty weirdo. Seems like so many people on Twitch are just on there to be nasty little weirdos, and I don't really understand what motivates someone to do that, or what would motivate somebody to want to receive that kind of attention. I don't really know what's going on with anybody in that situation. It seems very fucked up and weird. And I don't want any part of it. I just want to make a fun show where I read stupid books. Okay, that's all I want to do. And honestly, it'd probably be easier if nobody else participated in it for me. I'm getting exactly what I want right now, I'll have you know. You've fallen right into my trap. Alright. I got a little flavor video. It is the entirety of Food Fight, the movie. So I'm hoping it won't be a problem, but I'm not going to be playing the sound. I'm going to be playing this lovely classical music that's just perfect for reading. And I'm going to be doing all the voices myself. I'm going to be reading all the action myself. So it's not really like, I mean, the whole problem with copyright infringement is that, you know, it could be, oh god, oh no, oh no, okay, sorry, I forgot it starts with the sound on, sorry nobody. Anyway, so let me pause it, we're not starting yet. I can't have the movie, well, the movie probably will. I'm one thing I'm interested to see is how quickly either I or the movie outpaces one another, like who can get through this story faster. But let's see, so, but I'm going to be doing all the celebrity voices. I'm going to be reading all the action, so I don't think this should be a problem for copyright. So let me get into reading mode. That's not reading mode. That's watching YouTube mode. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is the novelization of Foodfight, a terrible movie starring Charlie Sheen, made in 2012. The junior novelization of Foodfight was adapted by Irene Trimble, story by Larry Kasanoff, who wrote the screenplay, and Joshua Wexler. Oh wait, oh god. I think Larry Kasanoff is the guy who directed it. I'm sorry, because it says screenplay by Brent Friedman and Rebecca Swanson and Sean Derrick and Larry Okay, good, I was right, and Larry Kasanoff. I was like, I remember the name Larry Kasanoff. Larry Kasanoff was the maniac who was like, Foodfight must exist. Alright, okay, okay, cool. Oh, wait, the video isn't playing. There we go. Okay, come on. Yeah, all right. Foodfight, the junior novelization for your pleasure. Read by Uncle Gameboy. Okay. Ah yes. What lovely glissandos to help us read. Chapter 1. Mr. Leonard was a good supermarket manager. He kept his shelves clean and stocked with the finest goods money could buy. The cash register closed with a satisfying clunk, and Mr. Leonard cheerfully waved goodbye to the last of his happy customers. It had been another successful day. "Good night, Mr. Leonard," a customer called as she shuffled out the door with her bags. Don't work too late now, good God, come on. Normally I'm reading Oliver Twist and I'm like, okay, this is fucking Charles Dickens. He writes with these, elaborate, verbose sentences. It's very difficult to read. If you're giving me shit for reading it, you're kind of an asshole and a bigot, perhaps. But this is you can't really say that when you're reading something called the junior novelization, can you? Okay, whatever, okay. Don't work too late now, just closing up, Mr. Leonard answered, taking his keys with him. Who does Mr. Leonard's voice? Mr. Leonard. Ed Asner, okay. Ed Asner. Just closing up, Mr. Leonard answered, taking his keys with him as he prepared to lock up. Nothing much happens around here after dark. As the overhead lights flickered off one by one and the doors of the market clicked shut, the displays of soups and cookies and the aisles of liquid cleanser and dog food stood still and quiet. The lights began to flicker as the shelves of cardboard boxes and jars became buildings of mortar, steel, and glass. The brand icons of each product began to spring to life, ready for a night on the town. I'm sorry, I realize, here's the deal. No joke, I do have like chronic health issues that make breathing hard, and I'm having a little difficulty right now. Bear with me 1 second while I attend to those. You've got Foodfight to watch in the meantime. You're perfectly fine. And as far as I know, nobody on Twitch expects to be watching anything of any entertainment value whatsoever. So I don't know what to say to you at this point, but you need to give me a second so I can fucking deal with my nasty, congested head. Pardon me. I maybe should have done this nasal irrigation shit before. And I got this fan. What am I doing right now? What am I doing? It's 3 a.m., folks. It's fucking 3. It's 3:30 in the morning. Okay. It's 3 in the morning. Just take it easy, all right? Not everything's gonna go right at 3 in the morning. That's what they call it, the fucking witching hour, okay? They call it the witching hour because the witches' tricks happen at the witching hour, which is 3 a.m. And I'm in the fucking middle of it. It's 3:30 a.m. where I am. I'm smack dab in the middle of the witching hour, all right? Can you give me a little bit of slack and cut me a little bit of slack also for having some technical snafus and having some issues and everything, all right? It's fine. And I think only one person is watching it this, and I'm pretty sure that's me. So I don't think I gotta worry about anything. Okay, I think the fan's fine. Oh man, I'm starting the video over, okay? That wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to start it. I had to do... You saw what happened. You saw... Okay, back to Foodfight, the junior novelization. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Oh God, okay. The lights began to flicker as the shelves of cardboard boxes and jars became buildings of mortar, steel, and glass. The brand icons of each product began to spring to life, ready for a night on the town. Then the glass jars in the condiment section began to tinkle as an escaped helium balloon drifted silently across the store. A large bird in glasses stepped out of his home. We're in a pickle now, he thought. How does the Vlasic pickle bird talk? We're in a pickle now. Yeah, he talks like Groucho Marx. We're in a pickle now. No. How that elephant got in my pajamas, I'll never know. How that elephant got in my pajamas, I'll never know. We're in a pickle now, honey. We're in a pickle now, sweetheart. There we go. A large bird in glasses stepped out of his home. We're in a pickle now, he thought. Does he think? Does he also think in his... Yeah, he does. He thinks the way he talks. We're in a pickle now, he thought, as a gasp rose from the market aisles. This is what I'm talking about. Like, they can't say the Vlasic pickle bird. But then they say riding the balloon was the Fat Cat litter brand icon, because Fat Cat litter is not a real litter brand. But if it was Fresh Step, I think that's one. I'm pretty sure. If it was Fresh Step, they would say, a kitty stepped out of a litter box. That was a bad example. It's the witching hour. It's the fucking witching hour. Everything fucked up happens in the witching hour. Someone who was a very wise person said nothing good happens after 4 in the morning, and I think 1 hour earlier is not much better. Riding the balloon was the Fat Cat litter brand icon, who was, as usual, up to no good. This time he had kidnapped a basket of kittens for some unknown evil purpose. Jesus. Suddenly, the square-jawed face of Cinnamon Sleuth cereal rose from his shelf. It was Dex Dogtective, the handsome icon who had made the words, "The secret's inside," world famous, because that's Charlie Sheen. And you must admit that is a very, very, very good Charlie Sheen impression. In his worn leather jacket and hat, Dex jumped onto the riding balloon that the Fat Cat icon had taken from the floral and produce section. He looked down and saw the passive aisles and displays slowly transforming into a living city, Marketropolis. It was the kind of town that really came alive at night, and he knew every neon-lit street, back alley, and clearance shelf in the joint. "Listen up, Fat Cat," said Dex. The other Ikes? Oh, right, I remember that from the movie. Ikes, the brand icons who were the citizens of Marketropolis. And this is a pratfall that a lot of fantasy literature falls into. Like, you gotta be judicious with your amount of new terminology that you're foisting upon people, okay? Because it can be very confusing to try to figure out all this new terminology and everything. We're just being introduced to this fucking world of Marketropolis, and already you're like confusing me with terminology like Ikes, which is, one syllable less than icon, okay? Are we really saving that much time? Really? Listen up, Fat Cat, Dex said. The other Ikes, the brand icons who were the citizens of Marketropolis, looked on nervously. Dex nodded toward the fluffy kittens in the basket. "I'm giving you one last chance. Hand them over before I cash in your coupons for you." The overstuffed cat grinned and twirled his whiskers. Oh, who's the Fat Cat? What's Fat Cat? Who does Fat Cat's voice? Let's see. Who is Fat Cat? Harvey Firestein. Okay, I'll do my best. Okay, who's Harvey Firestein? He's the guy who does, Mrs. Doubtfire's makeup. His brother. "If you any closer, you'd be Mom. If you any closer, you'd be Mom. If you any closer, you'd be Mom." There we go, I got it. I promised you pitch perfect celebrity impressions, and I am delivering. Let's go. The overstuffed cat grinned and twirled his whiskers. "If you any closer, you'd be Mom.
It's you, the great Dex Dog Detective, who are... Wait, oh, God. It is you, the great Dex Dog Detective, who are about to fall from grace, or should I say, be pushed.
Dex spotted a small army of hairless hamster icons dressed as ninjas watching the action with a shrug. Dex flicked a raisin into the air with his thumb. If I had a raisin for every time I heard that one, Dex said coolly, catching the raisin in his mouth. The hamster ninjas charged from all sides as the cat yelled, "Pulverize him!" But the Ikes were no match for the great Dex Dog Detective, not on this day or any other. Dex quickly pummeled the ninjas with his own smooth martial arts moves, including a final roundhouse kick that sent them all sliding off the balloon. As the ninjas fell screaming, the fat cat took a step back. Okay, that's Dex. This is an issue. This is an issue because typically when you're reading a book, they don't tell you who's talking necessarily until you're like fucking halfway through the fucking sentence. But by then, I'm already well into my impression, my pitch perfect impression. But Charlie Sheen and Harvey Fierstein they sound very different. Okay.
It's just you and me.
Dex. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's just you and me, Dex said, staring into the cat's yellow eyes. Fork over the little guys and no one gets hurt.
The mewling kittens tried to escape, but the cat slammed the basket lid shut.
Never, he growled. I need these miserable flea bags to make my new black market kitty litter cookies. I'm sending you to the cooler, Dex said as he reached into his jacket and pulled out a tiny pink cocktail sword. And by the way, that kitty litter cookie thing is the worst idea I've ever heard. Seriously.
The cat pulled a large kitty litter machine gun and laughed. He thought he had Dex outgunned until the great dog detective casually punctured the top of the balloon with his tiny sword. The cat's eyes widened as he watched Dex flip from the bursting balloon and catch the falling basket of kittens. In midair, Dex whipped down his price tag gun, aimed it at the top of Raisin City Music Hall, and left a fly of cord stickers. Hold on. Where's my hanky? Where's my fucking hanky? Normally I would do my nasal irrigation thing, but that's a whole process. It takes a little while. And then you're kind of dripping from the nose for a while afterwards. You really have to make sure you're not doing anything for a minute if you're going to do the nasal irrigation thing. Well, maybe you should have done that before. Yeah, well, a lot of good that does me now. A lot of good that does me right now. All right? They're fucking already hanging out. Him and the raisin chick already hanging out. He's fucking throwing raisins at him. And I'm like, I'm still fucking in the beginning where he's doing ninja moves. This is fucked up. I'm sorry I'm having a hard time getting through this. As the stickers caught hold, Dex swung around, grabbed the top of a flagpole, and catapulted himself high above the city. Doing a neat triple flip, he gently dropped into the center of Produce Park with the precious basket of kitties. Like every Ike in town cheered as, somewhere in the background, the screaming cat whooshed around the store, clutching the Doom Balloon. Doom Balloon! Dex handed the purring kittens over to Harry Holt, a fastidious British hair care product. That's really expecting a lot from these kids to know fastidious, but I think that's probably a contingency of whoever publishes these books or whatever. It's like, you have to put some difficult words in here, okay? It can't just be brain dead tripe for fucking stupid little dumbass kids who, watched Foodfight and need more, or so excited about Foodfight that they need to read the book beforehand. Like I did with the Page Master, and with them, and that's what I was thinking of when I considered this whole enterprise, is these silly book novelizations of movies that I read as a kid, for movies that weren't even good at all. Let's see. Here we go. Dex handed the purring kittens over to Harry Holt, a fastidious British hair care product. Like, who's Harry Holt? Who's Harry Holt? Who is that? Who does his voice? Mrs. Butterworth? Greg Ellis. Okay, I don't... Greg Ellis sounds like whatever I say. Because you're going to tell me different? You're going to tell me different? You say you know what Greg Ellis sounds like? Honestly? No, you don't. Nobody does. Harry never had a single one of his red fox hairs out of place. He was a little too finicky about his looks for Dex's taste, but the dog detective had a live and let live attitude. Every brand icon had its place on the shelves. Just another day's work in this city that never sleeps, Dex thought. This divisive. You can't see it. You could if I wanted to show it to you, but I had to make a choice between showing the movie and the book, and I think the movie's better. But like they italicize their thoughts. It's just weird. Just another day in the city that never sleeps, Dex thought as he unzipped his jacket, revealing a white tuxedo. Now it's time to get down to the real business at hand. But before Dex could make his way through the throng of adoring produce icons, including the chatty Lola Fruitola, he was stopped by Hedda Shopper. She was a parrot newspaper reporter Ike from the in-store newspaper. What the hell? She was a parrot. If you just like presented that sentence out of context to someone, they'd be like, did you just get hit in the head or something? What the fuck are you saying? She was a parrot news reporter, like the Ike. Oh my god. She was a parrot news reporter Ike from the in-store newspaper. That would be very strange. Can you imagine if you like were, I don't know. I forget. It's like because like the boxes turn into buildings. I think there's some sort of transformative property that happens when the sun goes down or the store closes or whatever the fuck is going on. Whatever triggers this infusion of life into these products or whatever. But like I was just thinking it'd be really funny if you came across like a little like newspaper publication operation, just like little. Just like what it looks like when they show like stop the presses, those presses, but they're all little like for like a parrot, and all the little Mrs. Butterworths and Charlie the Star-Kissed Tuna to read. It would just be very strange, but also kind of adorable. What a whimsical world that would be. Anyway, who's talking now? Let's see. Hedda Shopper. Who does Hedda Shopper's voice? Christine Baranski. Oh, she's lovely. You're always doing okay when you have Christine Baranski on board, let me tell you. So she's kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. There we go. That's Christine Baranski right there. Dex, head of shopper here. This makes 500 consecutive cases you've solved as head of the United Supermarket Defense Association. What's your secret? Dex flashed his trademark grin. The secret's inside, he said, giving his classic handgun salute to the cheering crowd. Cool. All right. Chapter 2. Chapter 2 of the Foodfight novelization. Okay, I had to read ahead a bit to see who was talking. Who's Dan? Dan who? Daredevil Dan, Wayne Brady. Okay, we got to be careful here. All right. Wayne Brady. What does Wayne Brady sound like? I'm cycling through all of the things I know Wayne Brady from and what I know him saying, and I'm like, do I really want to try to imitate that voice? Is that what I'm trying to do to myself live on the internet? Is imitate Wayne Brady's voice as closely as I can? Oh, jeez. What do I even do here? What does a honky do in this situation? I think I'm just gonna... He's gonna sound a lot like me, believe it or not. More than the other characters do. All right, show's over, a voice shouted to the crowd. As the smiling Ike's parted, Dex saw his best friend Dan giving the orders. Dan, the well-known chocolate squirrel, Ike for Daredevil Dan's pure milk chocolate, was climbing down from his sleek XJ-1 rocket plane. My dog, Dex, and I got important business to do together, Dan said to the crowd, waving them away. Then he leaned toward the parrot reporter. That would be Dex and his best friend, Daredevil... No, that would be Dex and his... Wait, who's talking? I think it's the parrot. That would be Dex and his best friend, Daredevil Dan, the man. As in me. Did I say... Wait, what? You know what? That would be Dex and his best friend, Daredevil Dan, the man. As in me. Did I say important? I think that was Dan there. I think that was Dan. I think that's one of those scenes that's like probably made like read a lot cleaner in the movie, and when you try to translate it into text, it just kind of becomes a big mess. When the crowd finally disappeared, what I'm saying is that wasn't my fault. That wasn't my fault that I fucked that up reading that and did a very bad job and demonstrated my piss poor reading comprehension. That's not what happened at all. When the crowd finally disappeared, Dex's tuxedoed tough guy exterior slumped.
The real secret, Dex said to his friend, is I'm scared out of my mind. Tonight's the night, Dan.
Dan shrugged. No worries, you can do it as long as you've got me to help you. Dex nodded and shakily took a small ring box from his pocket.
Right, okay, I can handle this,
he said, opening the box and displaying the impressive produce.
What do you think?
He asked hopefully. Whoa, 4 carrots, Dan said, nodding at the 4 real carrots in the diamond engagement ring. This is confusing to me because it says, whoa, 4 carrots, written as C-A-R-O-O-T-S, like carrots, like, yeah, what's up, Doc Carrot. But then Dan said, nodding at the 4 real carrots on the diamond. Okay, so it's weird. Okay, whatever. You know what? I can't get tripped up at every point of confusion. It's Food Fight. It's fucking bedlam, okay? It's absolute insanity. That's why the internet loves Food Fight so much. That's why they find it so hilarious. And that's why this thing is going to catch off like fucking a wildfire once the internet gets a hold of it. I never heard of anyone else reading the novelization of Food Fight, doing all the voices. That's a pretty novel idea if you ask me. Let's see.
Yeah, but do you think she'll like it? What if she doesn't like it?
Relax, bro. We're talking about sunshine goodness. You could have her. You could give her a ring from a box, Cracker Jacks, and she'd still say yes.
Everything's got to be just perfect tonight,
Dex said, still anxious about proposing to the most beautiful girl to ever adorn a box of raisins.
Now you're sure to know what to do?
Wait, now you're sure you know what to do? The witching hour is upon us, okay? Dan patted the lovesick dog on the back. I was born knowing what to do. I'm the most death-defying, stunt-flying, milk chocolate squirrel. Dex interrupted him.
Dan, one more thing. Will you be my best man?
The chocolate squirrel quit the shameless self-promotion and threw himself onto Dex in a bear hug. You bet your box top, Dan shouted. In the distance, Dex heard someone call the name of a girl who made his cereal turn soggy in milk. What? Hold on, okay. Some of the Candy Kid Ikes from the next aisle were yelling, "Sunshine, sunshine, catch!" In the distance, Dex heard someone call the name of the girl who made his cereal turn soggy in milk. What does that mean? Like, I feel, I get that it's some sort of like, I don't know, like, it's like made his heart go in his throat or some kind of like, oh, like it like makes him all fucking verklempt, like he's got very strong feelings for this Miss Sunshine, but it's like soggy in milk, like where's the milk? Whose milk? Dex Dog Detective's milk? Are we talking about dog cum here? What the fuck is going on in this fucking book? Fucking page 9 of fucking Food Fight, the novelization. You gotta be talking about fucking dog cum? What? What? Are you serious right now with the dog cum? I can't believe you. Oh, my internet's going, Will, squooey Louie. What the hell? There's like, it's fucking the witching hour. There's one, give me 1 second. I want to try something. What the fuck is this? Okay. Will this work if I do this? Hold on. Why is it so bad? Why is it so bad right now? Come on. What could be taking up the dang internet? Is something downloading? Maybe something's downloading. I gotta stop it. Hold on. I'm gonna... I think so. It looks like one person might be watching this, but I'm pretty sure that's just me. So it's fine. I can do whatever I want. I'm gonna try to like make sure nothing's downloading or something. I don't know. Give me a minute. So freaking bad right now. Turn the Wi-Fi off. Will that assuage you, honey? Please? Light of my life? Come on. Yeah, I know, but it's very bad. It's very bad connection. It's a very bad connection. I don't understand why. Whatever. You know what? You know what? You know what? You just gotta move on. You just gotta move on. What else can you do? You can pray to the gods. You can ask them for clemency. But that's all you can do. That's all you can do. They're not with me right now. This is fucking fucked up. This is the most fucked up thing that's ever happened to me. I'm sorry. Man, this shit really makes me sweat, man. It makes me very worried if anyone were to ever actually be watching this, that I would just start just sweating buckets immediately, because this shit fucking stresses me out, man. Internet, is this really all you can do for me right now? Is this the best you can do? Whatever. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. It's fine. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Get it together, buddy. Oh. Heavens above. What the hell is happening? You bet your box top, Dan shouted. In the distance, Dex heard someone call the name of the girl who made his cereal turn soggy in milk. Some of the Candy Kid Ikes from the next aisle were yelling, "Sunshine, Sunshine, catch!" They threw a melon which sailed over Sunshine's hands and hit Dan in the back of the head with the pleasant thump of fresh produce. "Thanks for playing with us, Sunshine," the chubby-faced kids yelled. "See you tomorrow, Sunshine." Okay. Her name is Sunshine. Dan forced a smile and tossed the melon back to the Candy Ikes, who surrounded the always radiant Sunshine Goodness Raisin Girl. I think she's done by Ava Longoria, or is it Hilary Duff? It's Hilary Duff. Believe it or not, Hilary Duff and Ava Longoria are going to sound very similar. Ooh. "Oh, Dan," Sunshine said, smiling and helping Dan to his feet. "That was so nice of you." "It was?" The squirrel... Oh, Dan. "It was?" The squirrel asked, a little dazed. You... No, can't do that. We can't do that. No. We can't do that. "You bet," she said with a wink. Oh, geez. "The way you saved Dex from ruining his spiffy tux. "Oh, yeah? Well, sure. That's what friends are for," Dan mumbled. Sunshine leaned into Dex. I don't think Sunshine's in this for too long. I think she's mostly doing other shit in this story. We can only hope. Sunshine leaned in to give Dex a kiss. "Hungry, tough guy?" she asked him. "How about we get Maximilius Moose to make us huge hot dogs for dinner? My treat." Dan's eyes brightened. "Great idea." Oh, Dan, God damn it. Dan's Wayne Brady. Dan's eyes brightened. "Great idea," he said. That's Wayne Brady. "I'll take a foot long with." Dex shot Dan a look and the chocolate squirrel took the hint. "Gotta fly," he said. "Yeah, we need only 2 people, okay? If only 2 people could be talking at any given moment, that'd be much, much easier for me. "Gotta fly," he said, quickly taking off in the direction of his chocolate rocket plane. See you later, Dan," Sunshine said, smiling. She leaned closer to Dex. "Or could we play a little stickball with Lola? "Well, actually," Dex said nervously, "I've planned plumbing, I've planned something special tonight." Again, I think that worked. If it worked at all, that worked better in the movie than in text. "Oh, let me guess. A romantic hot air balloon ride, perhaps? Oh, no, you just did..." Why can't I... God, when I'm talking like her, I can't read very well in the best of circumstances, but trying to do a very, very accurate impression of Hilary Duff. A very accurate impression of either Hilary Duff or Ava Longoria. It fucks me up. I can't read at all. "Ooh, let me guess. A romantic hot air balloon ride, perhaps? Oh, no, you just did that. Was it hard to beat up those itsy-bitsy hamsters?" Sunshine twirled and did a roundhouse kick. "By the way, you stole that last move from me." "Really?" Dex said, surprised. He beamed at Sunshine as she playfully pinched his cheek.
Don't believe me? Well, listen, Sherlock. Just because every Ike in town relies on you to protect them doesn't mean I couldn't kick your butt. Anytime, Dex said, leaning in to grab her. Want some? Sunshine teased, pushing Dex away and batting her lovely eyelashes. Oh yeah, Dex answered. Sunshine opened a box of raisins and flicked one high into the air. They both watched as it hovered for a second, then dropped right into Dex's mouth. Sunshine laughed. Dex swept her into his arms. Why, Mr. Detective, are you sweeping me off my feet? Dex smiled and hugged his Sunshine. I'm working on it, he told her with his grin. Dex led Sunshine to his favorite club in the produce section. Maximilius Moose, head waiter and sometimes bouncer, greeted them and led the couple to a candlelit table outside. Okay, who does his voice? Who does Maximilian Moose? Mr. Moose, where are you? Oh God, you're gonna make me fucking look at the whole cast list? Come on now. Is this Mr. Moose's only line? What a Polar Penguin by Chris Kattan, or Lady X by Ava Longoria. Who's okay? Mrs. Butterworth. Where are you? Mr. Maximilian Robert Costanzo. Who's that? As Bobby Costanza. So sometimes he's known. Oh, this guy. This guy was just in some fucking thing I saw the other day. Okay, oh God. Oh God, what's happening? Internet, honey. Internet, baby. What's going on? Internet, no. Man. Robert Costanzo's IMDb page is crashing my computer. The overwhelming amount of roles that Robert Costanzo has been on is just fucking too much for my computer to handle. Anyway, he looks like Ed Asner. Believe it or not, he also sounds like Ed Asner as far as I'm concerned. Oh, your table's ready, the Tuxedo Moose said. Maximilius helped Sunshine into her chair. We've got caviar, filet mignons, and a fine selection of fruits and vegetables, he said with his thick Brooklyn accent. Sunshine beamed. Oh, Dex, this is so great. Dex gulped. It was now or never. The ring was in his pocket. Sunshine, he said when the big moose finally left. You mean the world? What? Sunshine squawked, trying to hear Dex over the club's music. Maximilius was playing a violin, adding to the cacophony and moving closer to the table. There's that other $10 word, cacophony. I think people know cacophony, actually. They don't know fastidious. Dex shouted, You mean the world to me, in Sunshine's ear, then shot a look at the moose's screeching violin. Maximilius! The big moose stopped playing. I likes you too, he said, confused, and then looked at Sunshine. Oh, God damn it. This is what I'm saying. We can't have three people talking, okay? It fucks me up. The big moose stopped playing. I likes you too, he said, confused, and then looked at Sunshine. Yous means her? Yous means her. Dex rolled his eyes. Somehow Maximilius got the hint and backed away as Dex tried to recapture the moment. I just want to take care of you, baby, he told Sunshine. She fluttered her eyelashes. I do feel so safe in your arms, and I'm so proud of you, Dex. But I worry when you're on a dangerous case. Dex squared his wide shoulders. I'll be fine. I have to be, to make sure nothing bad ever happens to you. Always, Dex. Forever, kitten. Dex took a deep breath and said, Here goes. Sunshine, will you? But before he could get the words out, the roar of a jet engine filled the air. Dex sighed and thought, in italics, What are the odds? That's a milk chocolate XJ1 piloted by a deranged squirrel who's supposed to be flying at a much higher altitude. Take cover, Maximilius yelled. He's gonna crash again. As the rush of the jet engine sent food and silverware flying, Sunshine stood up, delighted. It looks like Dan's drawing a picture, she said brightly as Dan managed to pull it up in time. Drawing? Oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck's going on? Sunshine squinted and tried to get a better look at what Dan was skywriting. She gasped. It's of us, she exclaimed to Dex. That's so cute. But what's he trying to draw in your hand? Oh, what? That's so cute, but what's he trying to draw in your hand? Oh, okay, God. Okay. Dex looked up at Dan's skywriting attempt. What I've been trying to ask you all night. Sunshine, will you? Oh no, Sunshine cried as she saw Dan take the nose of the plane up. He's not going to try to... Inside the jet, Dan was trying to psych himself up. Okay, I just gotta loop the loop to make the engagement ring. No problem. Cause I'm gonna dare the day it... What the fuck?
Fly away, Sunshine said, cheering the squirrel on. Come on, Dan, you can do it this time. Dex pulled the ring from his pocket. Sunshine, he said, trying to get her attention. Will you dare the day the squirrel? Oh my god, this is so fucking confusing. This is way more confusing to read than Oliver Twist. Dare the day oh god, okay, come on. Dare the day, the squirrel shouted as he reached the top of the loop. And not today, Sunshine said, and winced as Dan spiraled out of control. Everyone cringed as the plane crashed in the distance. Oh god damn it. I better go check on Dan, Sunshine said, just to make sure he's okay. Sunshine stood up and Dex said, I'm sure he's fine. Dex always crashes, like yesterday, for example, and the day before. Sunshine smiled. When in doubt, just do the right thing and it'll always turn out. But I was trying to ask you. Don't worry, Sunshine said, leaving Dex with the ring in his hand. I'll just take a minute. I'll be right back. But a short while later, Dex reached the crash site first. He paced nervously as Dan surveyed the jet's damage. I don't understand it, Dex said, worried out of his mind. Sunshine went to check on you right after the crash. Where is she? Holding an ice pack to his head, Dan shrugged. You know Sunshine. You know Sunshine. She's the... Oh, God damn it. You know Sunshine. She's the sweetest Ike in the Marketropolis. Oh. She probably ran into a friend who needed her help. Dex shook his head and stared at the engagement ring. Why didn't I just do it? Dan took the old buddy by the arm. Come on, he said to Dex. It's getting late. I mean, early. You know the rule. We've got to be out of sight before the market opens. But I never got to ask her to walk down the aisle with me. Chill, dog, Dan said, trying to cheer up his friend. You can pop the question tomorrow night. Don't worry, it isn't like it's the last time you're ever going to see Sunshine again. Dex nodded, but the idea that he would never see Sunshine again hung on his heart like frost on a popsicle. What a beautiful image. It's like reading Nabokov. I'm okay, submerged door bidder. I don't need cheap viewers. I don't need any viewers. I'm doing just fine all by myself, but thank you very much for the offer. I'm going to get back to reading Foodfight if you don't mind. Chapter 3 of Foodfight. The novelization of Foodfight. 6 months later, it was business as usual for old Mr. Leonard. He had to clean up on aisle 6, a display to set up on aisle 7, and several carts with squeaky wheels that needed oil. He was happily going about his day when he noticed a delivery truck at the door. On the truck's side were a huge black X and the slogan, Brand X, a better way of life. A tall, thin man marched into Leonard's store. May I help you? Right, he's fucking Ed Asner. May I help you? Mr. Leonard asked. You must be Mr. Leonard, the manager. I'm your new Brand X, Mr. Clipboard. Oh wait, I thought that was Christopher Lloyd. Oh wow. I'm really feeling my lung injuries after doing that's a hard one to do. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fucking do it. Okay. You think it is him, Mr. Clipboard? You think I'm not committed to the bit? This is weird. Maybe I'm gonna see if I can scroll to where. What's going on? Let's go back. See what Mr. Clipboard looks like. Even though only submerged door bidder is watching this, as far as I can tell, if not just me, and even if they are watching it, they're only here to try to scam me with cheap viewers or chap viewers. Chap. There's an accent aigu over the A. I thought it said cheap, but it must be a French word that I don't know. Chap viewers. But yeah, that is Christopher Lloyd. You must be Mr. Leonard, the manager. I'm your new Brand X representative, Mr. Clipboard, the man said, looking over Mr. Leonard's partially balding head and peering down the aisles. Suddenly, two Brand X delivery men began wheeling in stacks of Brand X boxes. I wasn't expecting any new products, Mr. Leonard said as the men rolled the boxes right past them. Corporate picked your store to test the new Brand X detergent, the thin man said, marking his clipboard. He pointed at the plain, colorless boxes. With elixir, he added in an official tone. Mr. Leonard didn't know whether to be happy. Okay, this is funny because it's like I read that like there should be more to it because there should. It just says Mr. Leonard didn't know whether to be happy. I don't think that's like whether. You don't say whether before one thing, like whether to be happy or confused, whether to be happy or infuriated. I don't know if that's an honest mistake or if it's just like bad writing. That's funny. Mr. Leonard didn't know whether to be happy. He didn't know whether to be happy or... Brand X, huh? Never heard of it. The thin man twitched at the remark, then bashed himself in the head with his clipboard. Give us 1 week, he said confidently. Our customers won't know how they lived without Brand X. But everything is so nice the way it is. We don't have space, Mr. Leonard argued. Oh, I'll make space, Mr. Clipboard said with a smile. Mr. Leonard smiled back awkwardly, but he couldn't help feeling that there was a hint of menace in the man's words. Mr. Leonard tried to keep up as the tall, thin man hurried down the aisles. Wait until you get a whiff of our Brand X elixir. It's practically addicting. The man's bony arm accidentally knocked a bag of Captain Crispy chips to the floor. Then, without a second thought, Mr. Clipboard crushed the bag of chips with the heel of his boot as he continued down the aisle. Mr. Leonard was shocked. That was a perfectly good bag of chips, Mr. Leonard said, kneeling on the floor and cradling the bag of broken chips. Never opened, never enjoyed. He's really busted up over this. But the man just ignored him. He is so unbelievably cruel. He just ignored him. He just ignored this man holding this, what until then had been a perfectly healthy bag of chips, and now was just a tattered mess of viscera. But the man just ignored him. He seemed to be enjoying himself. As Mr. Clipboard walked away, unbeknownst to him or any other humans, a near riot was brewing within Captain Crispy's bag of chips. Who's Captain Crispy? Who does Captain Crispy's voice? Who does Captain Crispy's voice? Who does Captain Crispy's voice? Is George Johnson. No one wastes chips and gets away with it. No one wastes chips. No one wastes... Oh, okay, oh, it says me, so he's like Scottish or something. No one wastes my chops and gets away with it. Mr. Captain Crispy growled. The pirate icon wrote, Brand X will pay. Chapter 4. Mr. Leonard sighed as he stared at the new Brand X display. It was a giant cardboard washing machine bulging into the aisle of his tidy little store. A sign above it proclaimed, Rejoice, Brand X has arrived. He shook his head as he switched off the lights that night. For the first time, old Mr. Leonard drove away from his beloved market, feeling a little uneasy. As the sun set, the supermarket transformed into the city of Metropolis, but the streets were empty. Only strange cries drifted down the windswept aisles and through the littered back alleys. Sunshine, where are you? I'll find you, Sunshine. Dex, help me, Dex. Please find me, Dex. Sunshine, I'm coming, Sunshine. Don't leave me, Dex. I need you. Daredevil Dan suddenly burst in his friend's apartment. Sunshine, Dex shouted in his sleep. I'm coming, Sunshine. Dex, wake up, Dan said, shaking him. In Dex's dream, he was following a trail of raisins that seemed to lead nowhere. Dan shook him harder. Dex's eyes snapped open as he sat up and gasped. You were having that nightmare again, weren't you? Dan asked, looking down at his haggard friend. Dex didn't answer. He got up from the sofa where he had fallen asleep and stumbled to the sink. Splashing cold water on his face, he hung his head, trying to make sense of it all. I miss her too, Dan told him sympathetically, but it's been 6 months. Sunshine's gone, bro. We have to accept it. Dex shook his head. I can't. I failed her. It wasn't your fault. You kept this place running smooth as a smoothie and all of us safe, Dan said, pointing at the newspaper articles tacked on Dex as well. Every one of them was about a triumph by the great dog detective. Just look at these clippings, Dan said, talking about all the hundreds of cases you've solved. But Dex stared at only one set of clippings, the bad ones. Oh yeah, he said. What about these? Raisin riddle a mystery, leads dry as prunes. Dex turned away from the wall. He knew the next headline by heart. Sunshine goodness gone without a trace. Dex dog detective hangs up his hat. The only case that ever really mattered. The only case that ever really mattered, and I couldn't solve it, Dex said through his clenched teeth. The only case that ever really mattered, and I couldn't solve it. Now she's gone. Sunshine. My only sunshine. But at least we still got each other, right? Dan offered, putting his arm around Dex. Cinnamon and chocolate together forever. Dex pulled away. The chocolate squirrel looked at the suffering dog. Bear with me 1 minute. I need to write down this sentence. I would just like to show that to someone. Like, what is this? What does this mean to you? Like, react to it like a fucking Westworld robot. I'm done. This doesn't look like anything to me. The chocolate squirrel. The chocolate squirrel looked at the suffering dog. The chocolate squirrel looked at the suffering dog. I think I have a new bio for my YouTube and my Twitch channel. The chocolate squirrel looked at the suffering dog. The chocolate squirrel looked at the suffering dog. There was nothing left to do but level with him and hope for the best. Okay, so your detective days are over, Dan said, moving toward the door. One thing's nice about this, these chapters are like fucking like 3 pages long. I'm always thinking like, oh, I'm done after this. I'm like, oh, it's fucking a page and a half. I can get through it. Next thing you know, I'll be fucking done with this whole damn book. Okay, so your detective days are over, Dan said, moving toward the door. But now you got a club to run, and you can beat the Copa Bananas. You can... Oh my godness. Oh my godness. You can bet the Copa Banana's gonna be buzzing tonight. Everyone's talking about how Crispy's bag got crunched. Anyway, you want to live... You got my wings outside. Wait, so everyone's gonna be at the club because we're gonna be talking about Crispy Crunchy crap, Captain Crispy Crunch's potato crisps murder? Is murder most foul? Oh, the whole everyone's gonna be buzzing about it. It's 4 in the morning. It's 4 in the morning. I think I'll walk, Dex said absentmindedly. Dan hesitated. You're sure you're cool? Yeah, Dex said, trying to smile. Thanks, pal. As Dan left the room, Dex reached into his pocket and pulled out a faded box of Sunshine Goodness raisins. He flipped a raisin in the air. It hovered for a second, then hit him bonk right on the nose. Dex shook his head. It's not the same without you, Sunshine, he said, staring at the label. Raisins taste like ash in my mouth. All right. Chapter 5. Oh, geez. Okay. Whoever scanned this novel, this page got folded into the binding, so it's like... I think I can still read it. The main street outside... Okay. I'm worried about reading the words that are not on the page. Maybe I should also worry about being able to read the ones that are on the page. The main street aisle of Marketropolis was lit up and bustling like Times Square on a summer night. Dex had put on a clean tuxedo and was making his way to the Copa Banana when Harry Holt called to him. Dex, who's Harry Holt? Harry Holt is it Harvey Firestein? Harry Holt is Greg Ellis. Okay, I think he's like, I don't know. I think they implied he was British. I think he was British. Dex, wait up. The United Supermarket Defense Association needs your help. What's wrong, Harry? Losing your hold? Dex asked as he kept walking. Harry grabbed Dex's arm. Dex, you have to help me. I'm at my split ends. There are witnesses who insist this brand X salesman deliberately crushed Captain Crispy's bag. Dex shrugged. Dex shrugged and kept walking. So investigate. You're the head of the USDA these days. I run the Copa Banana Club now. Harry was in a panic. But the store ran so we... When you're... What? So we... Okay, here we go. But the store ran so well when you were chief. It's just not the same anymore. Dex nodded. Nothing is, he said flatly. Dex, when are you going to stop blaming yourself for Sunshine's disappearance? Harry said. Dex froze as every brand icon on the street gasped. Oh my god. It's 4 in the morning. Oh, the sweat's dripping down the back of my neck. That's a gross feeling. They stared, waiting to see what Dex would do next. Lucky for Harry, a jet engine roared overhead. It was Dan. As Dex looked up, Harry ducked from the street, shouting, Duty calls, much to do. Yo, Dex, Dan shouted, pointing at the pointing at the back of his plane. This ought to be this. Okay. I might be at the end of reading Food Fight for the night. I can't get through even 2 words. Yo, Dex, Dan shouted, pointing at the back of his plane. This ought to really pack the place. Dex smiled as he read the banner, "Get juiced at the Copa Banana tonight." Dan, do steroids at the Copa Banana. Dan called down to the cupcake Ike in the corner. Yo, sweet. Oh, Dan's talking. Yo, sweet cake's right, and it's Wayne Brady, so he's got to say yo, right? What are you doing to me? Yo, sweet cakes, check this out. He raised the nose of the jet, trying to do a loop. You drive me loopy, baby, the squirrel shouted enthusiastically. Dare the day. Sweet Cakes rolled her eyes and walked on. Who's Sweet Cakes? Haley Duff, Hilary Duff's sister, who, believe it or not, sounds exactly like Hilary Duff. Get a shelf life, she yelled over the shoulder as Dan's plane began to spiral out of control. Dan frantically tried to pull the plane up as it nosedived, but it was no use, so he hit the eject button as the plane crashed through a mass of tangled branches and smashed into the tree-shaped factory of some elf Ikes. Oh, see, but they can't say the Keebler elves there. They can't say any of the actual brands here. It's too late. Dan's ejection seat finally worked, tossing him out of the cockpit into a wheelbarrow full of fudge. The panicking factory workers were outraged. Dan's parachute suddenly popped open, and the silk fluttered over him. From under the parachute, he told the gathering group of angry Ikes, "I'm good, just testing my chute. I'm cool." 1 second. Okay. Oh, jeez. Oh, no. Oh, so many hats are falling everywhere. Hats from all the places I've been, all over the world. St. Louis? The Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C., America? Madrid, Spain. London, England as well. Rome in Italy. And Las Vegas. Oh my God. I really didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that shit. Fuck. Oh no. Las Vegas, Nevada. Lovely. Okay. He's supposed to be made out of chocolate? That squirrel doesn't look like he's made out of chocolate. That squirrel looks like the color of someone's turds if they have liver disease. How would I know that? That's not really any of your business. All right? Chapter 6. How long is this chapter? Okay, I think I'm gonna be done after this because I'm having a very hard time reading. It's almost 5 in the morning. It's almost so in the morning that it's like the actual morning and not like 2, 3, 4 in the morning, which is not the morning. No one really considers that the morning. Holy shit, look at this guy. This guy's fucked up, man. Whoa. That guy's so fucked up looking. Okay. Anyway. Chapter 6. Between Main Street and the produce section was a seedy back alley known as the Discount Aisle District. Life was cheap in this part of town. It was where the low class and low priced hung out, and the damaged goods and dented cans made their last desperate attempt to be sold. On some nights, Dex used this as a shortcut to and from the Copa Banana. This was one of those nights. As Dex moved through the shadowy alley, he saw Polar Penguin, who I think is Chris Kattan. He was Mr. Peepers on SNL. As you know, he was also Mango. As Dex moved through the shadow alley, he saw Polar Penguin, an Ike who belonged in the freezer section, being turned upside down by Cheezel the Weasel. Who does Cheezel the Weasel? Lawrence Kasanoff? Oh, that's the director of the movie? Okay. All right. Cheezel the Weasel. The Weasel was looking to make a fast buck or a greasy fistful of ill-gotten discount coupons.
Why, of course I can sell you a VIP pass to the Copa Banana.
The weasel whispered to the penguin. Excuse me, sir. I seem to be catching a draft up to here. The chili penguin said. I don't know. He has the excuse. He's got that in there. So like I almost said Chris Kattan, but I'm doing like an Ed Wynn thing. I'm doing like an Ed Wynn. Excuse me, sir. I seem to be catching a draft up here. The chili penguin said, his teeth chattering despite his wearing mittens and earmuffs. Smelt fell from his pockets as he searched for coupons. Kids are going to need help with that one. I don't think kids know that smelt is a fish. You know, like he smelt fell from his pockets. How can he, like that? Like, I think that would just be, that'd be such a confusing sentence to a child. It would basically fuck them up for their entire life.
But my very important friend, you don't appear to have the necessary coupons for such a pricey purchase,
The weasel said with mock sympathy. Dex stopped. He knew that the penguin was about to be taken for everything he had. Let him go, Cheezel, Dex said. The weasel instantly dropped the penguin on his head and smiled nervously.
Dex, what a pleasant surprise.
The penguin quickly waddled away as Dex gave the weasel a stern look and resumed his walk to the Copa Banana. The cheese weasel tried to catch up. Since he couldn't make a dime off the penguin, he hoped to make a small score with Dex. He had a few items the dog detective might find interesting. Poker chips, a few hot watches, and other supermarket debris. Dex stared the weasel down.
You despise me, don't you?
The rodent said. Are weasels rodents? Are they? Bear with me 1 second. I want to learn something. I know. Learn something on Twitch? Yeah. Weasel. Rodent? Question mark? Okay, this isn't... Okay. So it came up with taxidermy for a mouse and the definition of easel, like something that you put a canvas on. I heard that Google was like turning into a fucking useless pile of crap, but it really seems like that's the case. Okay, let's see. Weasel. Scientific classification. And what is it then? What is the weasel? Mustela. A weasel is a mammal of the genus Mustela of the family Mustelidae. The genus Mustela includes the least weasels, polecats, stoats, ferrets, and minks. Members of this genus are small, active predators with long and slender bodies and short legs. So I do not think a weasel is a rodent. I'm going to go through the whole fucking taxonomy of, which I think is what Google fucked up. They thought it was like trying to figure out what taxonomy is, and they came up with taxidermy, which would not surprise me at all if the fucking degenerates that hang out on Twitch don't know the difference between, I can almost guarantee that they don't know the difference between taxidermy and taxonomy. Let's see. Yeah. Eukaryota, Animalia, Chordata, Animalia, Carnivora, Mustelidae, Mustelinae. No, they're not rodents. Not even close. They're in the same order, but that's it. They're not even the same fucking subfamily. You fucking kidding me? They're not even the fucking same subfamily. It's fucking slapdash research being done on the fucking Foodfight novelization. Look at this. We got fucking. This is an we can sell this as an educational novel telling kids that smelt our fish using words like fastidious and cacophony. It's like, yeah, you're also telling them that weasels are rodents, which is scientifically inaccurate. Very scientifically inaccurate. You're saying because they kind of look the same, that they're fucking the same species, that they're from the same family of animals? You got a lot to learn about fucking zoology if that's what you think, buddy. Okay, that's not exactly how it works. All right? Did you know that a pig and a bear are much more closely related than a panda bear and a fucking grizzly bear? Did you know that? Did you know that? I bet you didn't. You look at a fucking panda bear and a grizzly bear, you think they're basically the same thing. But did you actually know that the true thing to know is that a pig that you make bacon out of and a grizzly bear have much more in common genetically than a panda bear and a grizzly bear does. Now your ass knows even one thing. Some would say I'm doing this wrong. That's why nobody likes what I'm doing, or nobody even knows what it is. But I say I'm the change you need. I'm the change you've been waiting for. And even though you didn't know it, you didn't know you were asking for it, you were begging for it, actually. I'm like Steve Jobs, you know. Everyone on Twitch is like trying to be like, oh, what does everybody want? What do I do for them? How do I please these fucking people? Oh, please give me pity. Oh, please watch my channel. Please subscribe. I'll respond to everything you fucking say. I'll treat every fucking dumb bullshit fucking utterance about your stupid day and the stupid things you do with your day like it matters. I'll tell you I care about what you're eating and when you're going to the bathroom, because for some reason that's what you want. I'm not interested in doing that, okay? I'm gonna give you what you fucking need and what you actually want, even though you could never conceive of that in your mind if you had a million fucking years, okay? Because I'm like Steve Jobs, alright? I know what you want, and I will tell you what you want, and you will thank me for it. Just watch. Just watch, alright? I know exactly what I'm doing here. I know exactly what I'm fucking doing here. I know exactly what I'm doing. You fucking people, you are gonna be in the palm of my hand before you know it. And then, by then, it's far too late. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. It would be far too late for you to do anything by then. Far too late. But until then, until I build my undeniable and unassailable empire on the bones of my lessers, on those I have conquered in the field of Twitch and the internet in general, I must get back to reading Foodfight. Enough of this blowhardery. Let's get back to Foodfight, the novelization. The weasel, right. You despise me, don't you? The rodent said. It's not a rodent. We just learned that. A weasel is not a rodent. A weasel belongs to the family Mustelidae, like stoats do. What's going on? Who is that? We need to keep the door shut. My cats are trying to get in here, but I'm not going to open it for them because then they're going to be wanting to get out. Then they're going to want to get back in. Then they want to get out. Then they want to get back in. If you have cats, you know what I'm fucking talking about. If you don't, then shut the fuck up. All right? Shut the fuck up. You despise me, don't you? The Mustelidae said. The Mustelidae, not a rodent. Just then, a blinding flash of light caused Dex and Cheezel the Weasel to squint. It was the store trolley which cut through that part of town. Unfortunately, the Weasel seemed to be standing right in the middle of the tracks. Dex jumped onto the moving trolley as it ran the Weasel down. The dog detective watched the pained rodent slither away. I'm going to change this song. I think we've been listening to this song for like a while. As the trolley pulled into Produce Park, Dex could hear the music coming from the Copa Banana. Searchlights crisscrossed the sky. The place was jammed and the party was in full swing. Dex walked down the red carpet as cameras flashed. Dex held a shopper called out. Dex, held a shopper called out. Any new ladies on your plate? Is there a new squeeze the juice bar? Newsflash, she said, batting her eyelashes at Dex. I'm available. But Dex kept walking. No one could replace sunshine in his life. How's it scratching, boss? Maximilius Moose asked as he led Dex through the velvet rope entry. Just then, Dex noticed Polar Penguin step into the crowd of Ikes, hoping to get into the club. He pointed out the penguin to Maximilius Moose. Make it one more, he said. Make it one more, he said to the moose. Polar Penguin? Maximilius asked. Maximilius, that's a weird name. Maximilius asked, checking the VIP list. That don't ring no bells. From Polar Penguin Ice Cream, the penguin said brightly. It's just me, or is anyone else cold? Is it just me, or is anyone else cold? The moose gave Dex a smile, silently acknowledging the boss's soft side. The penguin waddled past the group of envious Ikes. If you're ever in frozen food, Mr. Dog Detective, you've got a friend, the penguin said. Dex flashed his signature handgun salute and disappeared into the club. Inside, the maitre d' and upmarket canned fish Ike. See, this is what we know it's Charlie, okay? Even though you don't have the fucking rights to fucking Charlie's likeness and the brand associated with him. We all know who you're talking about, okay? Then upmarket canned fish Ike led guests through the bustling crowd. And how does Charlie the tuna sound? I think he's like nothing makes it better. Nothing. Hey, let me tell you, baby. The tuna salad is a delicious and healthy lunch. Tuna salad is a delicious and healthy lunch. Let me tell you, honey. Tuna salad is a delicious and healthy lunch. Tuna salad is a delicious and healthy lunch. Yeah, he sounds like fucking like. Let me tell you. Who is that? I know that's a guy. I don't know who that is, though. Let me tell you. Follow me and watch the tail, he said, escorting the guests to their tables. Dex turned away from the crowd and faced the bar. Got milk? He asked the bartender. Who's Lola? Oh, wait, that's Weasels. That's. I was learning about Weasels. I don't need that tab anymore. Okay. Reading Foodfight and learning about what weasels are. Oh, I remember this cheese guy. I remember this fucking cheese guy. I'm kind of like where I am in the. No, I'm not. This movie's like almost over. Never mind. Lola. Who's Lola? Who is Lola? Lola Frutola. Shirley Morrison. I'm sorry, Shirley. I'm not familiar with your work. You're gonna sound a lot like Wayne Brady. Oh God, that was bad. Why did I pick that one? I could have picked any of the people who just have my voice, but I picked Wayne Brady. Jesus, God damn it. I'm what you call an ally, okay? I'm sorry for inadvertently slipping to something that could be construed as racially insensitive, okay? That's not how I meant it. It's just the first example that came to mind. And then you're like, yeah, because you're racist. No. That's not why. I can't rightly tell you why. All I can tell you is that is not why, okay? Do I look like a Dairy Queen to you? Lola answered. And besides, she asked as she opened a fresh carton of milk, haven't you had enough? Dex shrugged and quickly drank the glass of milk she poured. It sure does a body good. I don't know who's saying that. As Dex poured himself another glass of milk, he overheard a conversation at the bar that was getting louder and louder. Crush me bag, will he? Captain, I guess he's not dead. Captain Crispy groaned. Well, I'll make Brandex pay for it, I will. Dex raised his glass to Old Crispy. It's hard to lose something you care about, Cap, he said sympathetically, but you better go easy on the potato juice before you get chip-faced. What? Oh, okay. It was too late. Crispy passed out face down in the bowl of chips on the floor. Now that's a very confusing sentence there, because it's like, go easy on the potato juice. And it's like, he means vodka. But it took me a second, because I'm like, potato, what the fuck is potato juice? Because like, fucking Dex is drinking milk like he's drinking alcohol. And that's what you do with cartoons a lot. You have fucking like, you know, they do on like SpongeBob with like the Goofy Goober thing, where they're fucking like, or like on Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, where like candy gets you fucked up. It's like a euphemism for drugs and alcohol. And like, that's what they're doing here. It's one of the best cartoon bits you can do, but fucking, I'm gonna go back. I'll just keep letting it play. But then they fuck it up. They cock it up and make it confusing by saying potato juice, which is, I'm assuming, a reference to vodka. It's like, so they have real liquor. And I guess since the potato chip guy is made out of potatoes, he would drink vodka because vodka's made out of potatoes. But then Dex Detective, who is a cereal mascot, I will remind you, would drink milk because milk makes his cereal soggy, and soggy cereal is what makes him horny. I don't know. I'm very, 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 very confused. The chapters are so damn short. It's very enticing. I think I'll just read chapter 7 and then be done. Who knows? Who knows? I'm about, like, as far as I can tell, like, maybe a third of the way through this book. Meanwhile, Dan was riding a slow horse-drawn chuck wagon through the cleaning supplies aisle of Marketropolis. He'd hoped to arrive on Main Street in style, but every taxi and banana boat was taken. Dan was trying to not lose his confidence, but riding this dog chow wagon wasn't going to help his image at all. Dare the day, just dare the day, Dan said to himself. He did a backflip off the wagon and landed face down with a splat. Someone started clapping slowly. Nice play, a woman. Oh, wait, that's Ava Longoria, I think. Yeah. Hold on, I gotta blow my nose again. I was just thinking it might be fun to do nasal irrigation while trying to read, but I think it can get quite messy and probably fuck up my computer, so no. As soon as I said that, I realized it was a bad idea, like most ideas I have. Oh, this hat's making me hot. How bad's my hair look though? Oh, yeah, it's awful, like always. What's going on here? Right. Nice play, woman said. Bet you'll nail it next time. Count on it, Dan said, looking up at the towering Brand X detergent building. In front of it stood a tall woman in a tight red dress. Ooh, hello. She leaned over and tickled Dan under his chin. So handsome. What do you suggest a lady looking for a good... How do you suggest to a lady looking for a good time? Banana, Dan stammered. The woman shrugged. I prefer zucchini. What the hell's going on here? Dan got to his feet. The club, he said, breaking into a buck-toothed grin. I meant the club, the Copa Banana. I'm tight with Dex Dog Tickle. So I prefer zucchini. Are they talking about inserting fruits and vegetables into you for sexual pleasure? Is that what they're talking about? That's crazy, man. I don't think that's appropriate for the Foodfight junior novelization. Junior, emphasis on junior. Do we need to explain to the juniors reading this junior novelization what she's talking about with the zucchini? Dan, what is this conversation about the banana and the zucchinis? And well, when a man and a woman feel special about one another, I don't know. I don't know what they think they're doing here exactly. The club, he said, breaking into a buck-truth grin. The club, the Copa Banana. I'm tight with Dex Dog Detective. The sultry woman raised an eyebrow. She said, smiling. Guess this is my lucky night. Maybe yours, too. Ooh. Maybe he's going to be getting the zucchini. Still seated at the bar, Dex was staring at the faded raisin label he always carried with him. Lola set a bowl of raisins on the bar. Dex tossed a raisin into the air as Lola watched hopefully. He leaned back, trying to catch it in his mouth, and fell off the bar stool. Lola sighed and went back to drying glasses with a dish rag. Dex found his way to the bar stool just as Dan walked through the doors, yelling, Yo, Dex. Does he always have to talk like that? The chocolate squirrel was grinning from ear to ear. We got us a new delivery, he said, panting. The Brand X detergent Ike, Lady X. And she's got a real sweet tooth, he said, pointing at himself. I'm a very sick man. I'm a very sick man, I'll have you know. What's going on right now? And she's got a real sweet tooth, he said, pointing at himself. The front doors of the club suddenly burst open again, sending Dan flying into a corner. I'm fine, because the lady is mine, the squirrel shouted as he tried to regain his composure. Lady X, the gorgeous Brand X detergent icon in an eye-popping X-shaped red gown. Yeah, I bet. Something else is popping, I bet. Flowed across the dance floor. All the Ikes in the room held their breath as she walked by. Vlad, who had Rosa in a perfect dip. Who's Vlad? Who the fuck is Vlad? Who's Vlad? Vlad, who had Rosa in a perfect dip, dropped her. Who's Who are Vlad and Rosa? They haven't mentioned Vlad or Rosa yet. I guess they're just too attentive. They're probably never going to mention these names again. That's fucking weird. Vlad, who had Rosa in a perfect dip, drooped her. You could just say, like, I don't know. Can we say, like, the bald in shape man dipped the woman who was a bottle of syrup? I don't know. Who are Vlad and Rosa? It's fucking weird. The usually cool Tiki Taki, a breath mint Ike. What? Oh my god. Things got really fucked up all of a sudden. Vlad, who had Rosa in a perfect dip, dropped her. The usually cool Tiki Taki, a breath mint Ike, belched fire. I guess they're just trying to. I mean, I think these are better sight gags. These sight gags work better, but then you have to like introduce probably. I'm guessing in the cartoon they just probably cut to a guy and he fucking had a lady in his hands and drops her like oh, and she's like ah, he's like oh, and she's like ah, you know. But then you have to like introduce these people, whereas before they're just like dancers. It's like you know, and it like takes every cartoon like Arthur, whose head, twisted and warped into the shape of a wolf, and he whistled. Like I don't think that works as well as when you show it. I would hope it will work better anyway as a visual gag. I think just sort of trying to straight translate this stuff into a book sort of demonstrates why this whole thing is stupid, and I would hope funny also. What's going on? Polar Penguin stood up on his stool to get a better look, and his scarf got caught in the ceiling fan. He spun around for a few seconds and then went flying toward Lady X. Lady X didn't even flinch as the penguin whizzed by her head and crashed into a waiter. She heard a small whimper and looking down saw that she was standing on the tail of the maitre d'. Sorry, she said nonchalantly to the tuna and started walking toward Dex. Dex sighed. Of all the produce bars and all the supermarkets in the world, she had to walk into mine. She stopped in front of Dex and gave him the once-over. Dex, dog detective, she said. I've already heard so much about you. I'll gossip, the dog detective replied, looking away. Lady X leaned toward him. My favorite kind, she whispered as Dex got a whiff of her perfume. That scent, Dex said, twitching his nose. There's something familiar about it. Lady X leaned closer. My secret ingredient, she whispered, smiling. Like it? It's amazing, Dex told her. A strange, hypnotized sparkle shined in his eyes. He shook his head to clear it. Ugh. So, dog detective, Lady X went on. Word on the shelves is you're in charge of this store. You've been misinformed, Dex told her flatly. Harry Hold's running things now. I don't get involved anymore. He's getting more like as I'm doing this. He's turning into Ed Asner. What's going on? Hold on. Harry Holder, I don't get involved anymore. Lady X nodded. Perhaps because you haven't had the right special offer, she said, raising an eyebrow. Dex set his drink down. What are you in the market? That's Charlie. I'm losing it. Charlie, what are you in the market for? What are you in the market for? What are you in the market for? I was trying to think, like, what does Charlie Sheen say? And I can't even think of anything. You know, it could be said that Charlie Sheen, I was watching some Charlie Sheen movies recently. He's not like the best actor. He can work in some situations, but he's no Martin Sheen. He's no fucking Martin Sheen. Let me tell you, I don't even know he's a fucking Emilio Estevez. He might be the least of the Sheens. The least of the Sheens, Charlie. That might be what I think. I don't know. I don't care enough to have a firm opinion about it. Dex said, God, oh, these headphones are starting to really hurt. Yeah, we're getting to the end here. This is the last chapter. What are you in the market for? Lady X laughed. What is any product icon want? She said, running her hands over her silky dress. A package no one can keep their hands off. Before she could say more, Dan popped up next to them. Yo, who's your sugar daddy? He asked, draping his arm around Lady X's waist. Just then, old Crispy woke up and lunged at Lady X. Oh, was his voice like, hold, anchor. Crisp said, there's some more thing dirty about this detergent. Now Now, is there any way to talk to a lady? She said. Now there's like fucking 5 people talking. This is fucked up. This is very fucked up. The plucky squirrel immediately rose to her defense. Crispy took a swing at Dan, who fainted. Yo, Dan said, springing safely to his feet again behind Dex. I'm down, then up. Let me at him. Dex held Crispy back. You had a break today, Crispy. Don't take your troubles out on Dan. Crispy whistled for reinforcements. Suddenly, every salty Ike in the joint was standing behind him. Looks like things are a little sour between the sugar and salt icons, Lady X said coolly, as the sweet stood ready to back Dan up. Dex raised his hand, hoping to avoid a brawl. This is not a condiment conspiracy. Chill out. No, Crispy answered angrily. We're not leaving here till this wench tells us why her rep stopped me poor bag. Is it really my fault you have inferior packaging? Lady X asked with a shrug. Yeah, Dan agreed, pointing at old Crispy. You aren't exactly new and improved. This spud's for you, Crispy yelled as he threw a roundhouse punch at Dan. Roundhouse punch? Is that a thing? I think you call it like a haymaker or something. I don't know. I'm not in the habit of getting into a lot of fist fights. Certainly not enough that I know the terminology. The Copa banana suddenly exploded into a full-on bar fight. Revenge will be mine, Crispy shouted as he tried to pummel Dan. Back off, you saturated fat head, Dan said angrily. Dex spun and knocked Captain Crispy off Dan and right into Maximilius Moose's open arms. Dex raised a bar stool over his head with a high-pitched scream. Caused every Ike to freeze. It was Polar Penguin. Oh, sorry. I'm all sniffly like Polar Penguin. It was Polar Penguin. He was on top of the stool that Dex was about to swing. Please, bear in mind, I'm in fact the flightless, the Penguin pleaded through his chattering teeth. Dex gently set the stool down and took a breath. Party's over, he shouted over the noise of the rowdy crowd. Time to banana split out of my club. As the bar cleared out, Lady X stared at Dex, impressed. Guess we know who's top dog in this town, she said, admiring him, then staring contemptuously down at Harry Holt, who was peeking fearfully out from under a table. Maximilius was about to toss Dan out the door when the squirrel pleaded. God, he says yo like every fucking time he talks. I'm sure the movie's no different, but it's just, God damn it, you know. I'm sure Wayne Brady was thinking the same thing. He was like, really? You gotta be saying this like every fucking damn time I talk? Like, come on, man. Maximilius was about to toss Dan out the door when the squirrel pleaded, Yo, Dex, who's your buddy? Who's your pal? Max, my man. I prefer Maximilius, and the boss don't play favorites. Dex gave the moose a nod. It's okay, Maximilius. Let Dan go. What about me? Lady X said to Dex. You hanging me out to dry? Dex shook his head. I'm not sure what to do with you. Dan moved over to the Brand X bombshell and said, Come on, baby. Lady X slipped her arm over Dan's. She looked at Dex as she and the happy squirrel headed for the door. What can I say, said Dex. Chicks dig chocolate. That's a pretty good place to stop, I think. We're going to start chapter a little bit like, fuck. Shit's getting pretty fucked up. There's a schism happening. I think this is the chip guy or something. No, he's a cheese guy. He's a cheese man, I remember. Okay. Well, let's put on the music for the other music. Okay. So, well, this was a fun idea, I think. I had a lot of fun doing it anyway. Doing all the voices and shit. It was great. It was hilarious. So I'm going to do this again later. I think the only person who watched this was a Submerged Orbiter, who offered me cheap viewers at streamboot.com. So if you're looking for cheap viewers, that's the place to go, I hear. You know, I personally don't have any need or interest in such a service, but if you do, I would encourage you to go to streamboot.com. They have cheap viewers, I hear. Anyway, this was fun. This was something to do late at night when I couldn't sleep. So it served its purpose. And even though nobody watched it and nobody cares about what I'm doing, I am comforted by the fact that based off of what I've seen, that this is undeniably much, much better and more entertaining and just has more anything going on in it than about, at least, if I'm being very generous, I'm being very generous, like 70% of what's going on Twitch. and literally everything that is on TikTok Live, even though this isn't on TikTok Live. And everything I've ever seen on YouTube streaming. What I'm saying is, if you don't like this or appreciate it, and no one appreciates or enjoys it, I know, and I have confidence in the knowledge that that is your fucking problem, not my fucking problem, all right? You guys just got to get on my level, and I'm confident that you will in time. But until then, and until next time, I've been Uncle Game Boy, and I've been reading Foodfight the Novelization. We thank you for joining us. But until next time, bye. I'm brushing the microphone. Live. Hi there. How's it going? I'm Uncle Game Boy. And, well, what am I doing right now? Let me tell you. I make a little show on Twitch where I try to come up with funny little things to do. And one of those funny things that I came up to do today. It's already going great. It's already going really great. I started this feeling weird, and I was like, do I feel too weird to do this? I don't know. No, I can do this. I can do this. I can just get into that right space. And no, I'm not so sure. But anyway, enough about me. What I'm doing right now is going to read the novelization of a movie called Foodfight. It might be a movie you've heard of. It's a really popular object of derision on the internet, I'll have you know. You know, John Tron made a YouTube video about it, got 20 million views or something like that. I don't feel like I need to belabor the point. You probably are familiar with it, but you might not know that they made a book about it also. And I just thought it'd be a lark to read it. Why not? We paused last time on chapter 8, where we left Dex Dog Detective, the heroic super sleuth, and his plucky partner, Dan the squirrel, the chocolate squirrel, were unfortunately experiencing a schism where the alluring but unfortunately nefarious as well Lady X from the competing brand X that has woven its evil ways into the Marketopolis supermarket world, and Sunshine Goodness has been taken and everything's going bad. We left them in a pretty rough spot. So I think I have just the music for that occasion to mark such a somber event. And we're going to continue the book, and I'm going to do my best to finish it. Even though I'm only like a third of the way through it, I'm not sure how far I can get into it, but I'll do my best. And speaking of doing my best, I'm also going to do my best to do the best celebrity impressions I can, because as I'm sure you know, Foodfight is a stacked celebrity cast with all of the most famous stars of skate and screen, like Charlie Sheen, Ava Longoria, Christopher Lloyd Wayne Brady, etc. You'll be hearing them and many more celebrities join us as we read the Foodfight novelization, hopefully to its completion. So let's put on the flavor, pause this music, and put on the flavor of Foodfight, and also this string quartet, very appropriate string quartet. Not that one. That's not the one I wanted. This one. There we go. All right. Here we go. Continuing from chapter 8, the Foodfight novelization, the junior novelization. Chapter 8 of the Foodfight novelization. Here we go. Play the Foodfight movie, please. Thank you. All right. Later that night, Dex made his way back to his apartment in the cereal section of town. As he opened the door, the first things he saw were the yellowed newspaper clippings about Sunshine on his bulletin board. Dex sat on his sofa and held his head in his hands. "Some dog detective you turned out to be," he said to himself. Suddenly, Lady X was standing in Dex's open doorway. "Crying over spilt milk?" she asked him. "What are you doing here?" Dex snapped. She stepped in and closed the door. "I've got a hot case for you," she said, taking off her coat. "I'm looking for a guy about your height. Same great build, same strong jaw, only difference is the guy isn't living in the past." She moved closer and Dex got another whiff of her perfume. I can't help you," Dex told her. "Maybe I can help you get a clean start on a new relationship," Lady X offered. Dex moved across the room, trying to shake off the scent of her perfume.
So what happened to Dan, he asked. You already eat through to his hollow center?
He said the sugars and salts were going to finish what they started. The aisles aren't safe tonight for a helpless lady like me, Lady X replied.
Sorry, Dex said. I'm not buying this damsel in distress routine. You've been through the wash plenty. I can see it in your eyes.
Lady X looked away. You're right, Dex. I'm not new. Last year I was recalled. There's a typo here. Was recalled is one word in here, like was recalled. Oh man. As I've said before on this stream, okay, if you guys need a freaking copy editor, and I know this was made in 2012, so the time to offer my services are too late, but like I'm demonstrating my fucking capability here and now, obviously more than whatever Jokomo you had doing this that you hired, if you hired anyone at all. I can't be sure based on the slapdash work that was done on this junior novelization of Foodfight. Lady X looked away. You're right, Dex, I'm not new. Last year I was recalled, but I'm changed now. New ingredients, repackaged with a fresh scent. I want to forget my past just like you do. Dex looked at the pictures of sunshine. You turn the music's a little loud. Music's a little loud. It's appropriately somber, but it's a little too loud. Oh, man. Here we go. Dex looked at the pictures of sunshine. I can't forget, he said. Oh, but you're wrong, Dex, Lady X said, dabbing more perfume behind her ears. I can wash away your memories. Dex felt himself weakening as the scent filled the room. Lady X wafted toward him, about to plant a big kiss on the dog-tective, but a blood-curdling scream from the aisles broke the spell. Dex dashed to the door and headed for the streets. Wait, Lady X called out, I haven't shown you my secret ingredient. The crime scene had been cordoned off with yellow price tags by the time Dex arrived. There they were, expired Ikes lying all over the sidewalk. Harry Holt is British, right? I think.
Dex, thank goodness you're here.
Harry Holt cried as he saw the dog-tective make his way through the crowd. Get out of here, Fly.
The salts and sugars, Harry said with a shiver. It must have been an all-out war.
Get out of here. Maximilian Moose soon joined Dex at the scene. How many Ikes went down? Dex asked.
Maybe 30, boss, the Moose answered. Everyone we tossed out of the banana. Dan and Lady X is the only ones missing.
And the lady's got an alibi, Lady X said as she sauntered up. Sorry, there's like 6 people here. I'm having a hard time figuring who's talking. And the lady's got an alibi, Lady X said as she sauntered up to the crime scene. Dex and I were just talking. I warned him there might be trouble. As investigators dusted for prints with baby powder, Harry Holt suddenly gasped, "Oh dear," Harry said as they began to remove the bodies.
They're bringing the body bags.
It was a terrible night in Marketropolis. All right, Jesus Christ, there's like dead people. The Moose shook his head as he spoke to Dex.
Boss, all them Ikes, he said sadly. We all knows when a product loses its icon, it spoils, goes bad. So what can we do?
Nothing, Dex replied grimly. We're the soul of our products. Without us, they're gone. Maximilius understood. Without its brand icon, a product just couldn't survive in this world. What are they talking about? As they took the expired Roma extra salty pepperoni pizza sauce icon away, the sauce was already oozing from the Roma pepperoni building. My, how grim. I've never seen anything like this, Lady X said.
Oh, we have, Harry told her. When Sunshine Goodness disappeared, her boxes faded, raisin soured. The only difference was her body was never...
Harry suddenly saw the look in Dex's face.
Found anything interesting, Dex?
The dog detective was happy to change the subject. These Ikes didn't expire in a rubble, Dex said. Somebody just wants it to look that way. Dex leaned over and scraped a thin coating of ice from the Viking ice cream sandwich icon laying at his feet. Freezer burn, Dex declared, knowing that these deaths had been planned. He was spoiled before his time. Looks like all these poor Ikes were rubbed out. Harry Holt was stunned.
But why?
He asked nervously.
How? Who?
Lady X suddenly said, Dan, he said he was going to get back at the salts. His plan must have backfired. The crowd of Ikes outside the crime scene tape shouted, Daredevil Dan, let's get him. String him up by the tail. Hold it, Dex said, but to the angry mob, Dan would never do anything like this. Harry Holt knew he had trouble on his hands.
We have to find him before the rest of the salts do.
Then you better start styling, Harry, Dex said flatly. Me, Harry said, but he hated being in charge. I can't. You have to help us, Dex, before I go bald. Harry saw a bald cleaning Ike frown. Not that bald isn't beautiful, he added with an apologetic smile. Don't tell me... Wait, hold on. Don't tell me the great dog detective's running away with his tail between his legs, Lady X said with a swish of her hips. But Tex didn't hesitate. I don't get involved anymore, he told her, and turned to walk away. As Maximilius, Moose, and Dex left the scene, Maximilius said, After losing Sunshine, boss, I thought she'd never smiles again, but Dan was there for you. Dex clenched his jaw. Deep down, he knew that the Moose was right. You can't change the song. I couldn't. I have to find fucking this like copyright-free music, and it's not long. This should be. I think this is acceptable. Chapter 9. The next morning, the doors of the market burst open. A stampede of frantic customers rushed toward the Brandex washing machine display. From the top of the machine, colored puffs of the detergent's fresh new scent wafted into the air. The shoppers' eyes took a strange sparkle as they breathed it in. Suddenly, they tore the boxes from each other's hands, trying to get as much Brandex detergent into their carts as they could. That's some elixir, Dex said as he watched the action from inside his Cinnamon Sleuth cereal box. On another aisle, Mr. Leonard was cleaning up the oozing pizza sauce from the night before. Nothing harder than seeing good food go bad, he said to himself sadly. A cold hand clasped. A cold hand clasped Mr. Leonard's shoulder. It was the tall, thin Brandex executive. Looks like we arrived just in time, the thin man said with a twisted smile. He made a few marks on his clipboard as loads of Brandex pizza sauce were wheeled in. Dex used his telescope to get a better view. Brandex replacements for every Ike rubbed out last night, Dex said to himself. Now, how did Mr. Clipboard over there know about that? He watched Mr. Leonard solemnly push a cart heaped with all the damaged products. Poor Ike's, Dex thought grimly. Then he began to wonder, turning to look at the Daredevil Dan's pure milk chocolate display. If the Ikes were all wiped out, then how did Dan survive and not wind up in the expiration station? Dex whipped his telescope around to see Mr. Leonard pushing the cart of damaged goods through the steel doors from which no Ike ever returned. Dex rubbed his chin, and his eyebrows drew together as the facts whirled around in his head. Something was definitely going bad, and it wasn't in the dairy aisle. That was a short chapter. Chapter 10. The lights of Marketropolis shined more dimly. Oh god, they did this thing where they fucking scanned it and they like folded it. Fucked up. I'll do my best. I'll do my fucking best here. The lights of Marketropolis shined more dimly now that 30 new colorless Brandex products filled the shelves. Inside his apartment, Dex paced, feeling in his gut that it was all tied together, but he just didn't know how. Something's wrong, Dex said as he paced. Dan's in trouble, I just know it. He looked at Sunshine's pictures. I let you down, Sunshine, he said. I just can't throw in the paper towel on Dan. He was your best friend, too. Dex armed himself with every dog detective gadget he owned. I just hope I don't fail you both, he said, as he left his apartment and headed to the streets. At the same time, inside the deli case, Harry Holt was having a meeting of all the major Ikes in Marketropolis. Harry banged a gavel and shouted, I call this session of the United Supermarket Defense Association to order. But no one heard him over the chaos. Order, Harry yelled. The USDA must come to order. Why is everyone screaming? Harry demanded. This only concerns sugars and salts. Not anymore, Lady X announced as she walked in with General X on one side and Lieutenant X on the other. Oh my. The crowd watched in silence. Okay, who's General X? Who's General X? He hasn't come up yet. Jerry Stiller. Okay. Who's You're telling me there's nothing left in Del Boca Vista? Okay, it's pretty similar to Ed Asner and whoever the moose was. I forget. Sugars and salts is just the tip of the iceberg, lettuce. She said, General X, our steamed potato chip icon is just divorced. A diabolical plot against cleaning product Ikes. General X stepped forward and grunted. Oh, she said, fuck, that was Lady X. Okay. Sugar versus salts is just the tip of the iceberg, lettuce, she said. General X, our steamed potato chip icon, has just discovered a diabolical plot against cleaning product Ikes. General X stepped forward and grunted. Security around here is down the drain, he said to the he told the crowd. The worried cleaning products suddenly couldn't agree more. They began pumping their fists in the air as the mob of Ikes cheered them on. And who was behind this vicious plan? Lady X asked, whipping the eager mob into a froth. She pointed at an Ike from the Asian food section. A specialty Ike. I don't know why I did a term that. A specialty Ike, Kung Tofu. Oh, geez. We're into some iffy territory here. The crowd gasped as they looked at the small man. Oh, God, who does his voice? What's his name? Tofu? Kung Fu or some shit? What? Kung Tofu? That was pretty close. Who's Kung Tofu? It's probably Jimmy Hong or something like that. Okay, it's a guy named N. Rytel. He does not look... Is he Asian? I think he is. Yeah, I think he is. I can't see. His picture is very, very small. But I'm not familiar with him. Okay, but I'm not gonna... I don't think he's gonna talk very much, so I think it's fine. Harry pointed to... Wait, hold on. But I am innocent, the Asian Ike told him. Harry pounded his gavel. Everything's out of control, he shouted as the crowd began to turn angry. What can we do? Perhaps it's time to institute a curfew, Lady X said calmly, so everyone can feel safe. The crowd hung on her every fresh-scented word. Yes, a curfew, Harry said enthusiastically. Splendid idea. But that takes organization. How? Who would run it?
Well, Lady X said, Brand X is 30 strong now. This is our home now, too. We want to help. Why not let my Ikes maintain order in the aisles?
Maximilius Moose stood up. Why you? He asked. He asked. Why you? He asked. He's like, why you? When he's saying, why you? He asked. Dex Detective has a solid history of cleaning up our spills. Let's convince him to come back. The crowd began cheering wildly. Lady X grabbed Harry's gavel and pounded it so hard she broke the podium. The crowd went silent.
How can we pin our hopes on a dog detective who couldn't even find his own girlfriend? Lady X asked, raising a questioning eyebrow.
Hold it, Maximilius Moose shouted. Dex tore the city apart searching for sunshine. He didn't leave a box top unopened. Dex is the best cinnamon sleuth ever.
Was the best, Lady X said, correcting Maximilius. He quit. But I will never give up because I care what happens to each and every one of you.
But it's so dangerous, a worried polar penguin called to her.
Don't cry for me, Polar Penguin, Lady X said bravely. Trust me, Brand X will make everything better. You have my promise.
The Ikes went wild for a sales pitch.
We will take care of you, Lady X said as she smiled coolly at the grateful cheering crowd.
What about Dex? Polar Penguin shouted.
Oh, we'll take care of him too, Lady X promised as a smile passed between her and Brand X henchmen.
Oh no. Oh man. That doesn't sound good. Chapter 11. Dex Dog Detective knew that something was rotten, and whether he liked it or not, he was on the case. The first place he checked was for clue. The first place. The first place he checked for clues was the Daredevil Dan's pure milk chocolate display. He found Dan's gent. It was covered in party streamers and parked with one wheel up on a cookie package. Looks like my furry friend had himself a pretty wild night, Dex thought. Meanwhile, behind the dimly lit canals of the Italian food aisle, Lieutenant X was peeling off coupons from a large roll and putting them into Cheezel the Weasel's hand. Who's Lieutenant X? Jeff Bennett? Okay. The lady wants the dog detective, Lieutenant X said. Who's Cheezel Weasel? Who Cheezel Weasel? Lawrence Kassanov. Oh right, he was like one of the weasels from fucking Roger Rabbit or something. No problem, the anxious weasel replied. He twitched as he watched Lieutenant X slowly count out the coupons. If you weren't so desperately deficient, oh my god. If you weren't so desperately deficient with your coupon dispersal, the greedy weasel added. Lieutenant X stopped counting. I don't forgot what his voice is. I don't care. Or I wouldn't have. Oh damn it. Or I could just crush you, he said, staring cruelly into the weasel's eyes. The weasel took a step backward. Cheezel the weasel sighed. The dog detective will be dropped off at the cleaners, he assured. The dog detective. Oh Jesus God, why am I having such a hard time with this now? I was managing this pretty well earlier. The dog detective will be dropped off at the cleaners. he assured Lieutenant X then quickly opened his coat. Speaking of clean, might I interest you in a toothbrush? Lieutenant X places. I don't think I'm doing that one very good. Lieutenant X placed his hands, unlike all the other voices, which I'm doing very well. I think I'm not doing that one as good. Lieutenant X placed his hands on Cheesel's shoulders and pushed him ever so slightly. The weasel took another step back and fell into the canal below. I fear this will not end happily for me, Cheezel said, splashing on the water's surface. Wet to the bone, Cheezel the weasel made his way to a part of town he was more familiar with, the discount aisle district. He spotted Dex searching a construction site, still on the hunt for Dan. Everybody seems to be searching for this squirrel, the weasel said, siding up to Dex. Mayhaps a reward for the reckless rodent would be in the offering? If you got something up that slimy sleeve, spill the beans, Dex told him and kept walking. The weasel caught up. Perhaps I do, perhaps I don't. He smiled. I seem to be suffering from a touch of train-induced amnesia. Dex suddenly grabbed the weasel by the neck. Tricks of our kids, Cheezel, he said, squeezing until the weasel's eyes bulged. Last night, the weasel choked, I saw the chocolate furball heading towards the detergent aisle. You know, home of the lovely Lady X. When? Dex growled, squeezing more tightly. Right after the screaming started, the weasel said, trying to breathe. Lex loosened his grip. Most suspicious, eh? The weasel asked, catching his breath. No way, Dex said. I know Dan, he'd never leave the scene of a crime, not even for a hot dish like Lady X. But this dish is extra spicy, Cheezel the weasel said, rubbing his neck with one hand while extending the other, one palm up to Dex. Might I remind you, my services are not voluntary. Dex pulled out a wad of coupons. It just doesn't add up, he said. Oh, always ready to make a sale, Cheezel quickly opened his coat. Sorry. May I suggest a calculator? He asked as his arms accidentally hit a construction lever. Lucky for you, I just happened to have, but the weasel caught Dex's glance as the detective looked up. Cheezel looked up to see a large wrecking ball high above his head. The pain, she is like an old friend, the weasel said wearily, looking at Dex as the wrecking ball fell. Note to self, the flattened weasel groaned as Dex walked away. Need new friends. That's one of those classic things in this novelization. It's like this if anything works in Foodfight, you know, this gag works at all. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work in text. 1 second. Okay. Chapter 12 of Foodfight the Novelization, the junior novelization. It looks like about halfway through, I think. Yeah, it looks that way. Excellent. Dex knew that Cheezel the Weasel's tip might have been a lie, but his dog detective instincts had told him the hunt was going to end up at Lady X's door. Her penthouse apartment was on top of the huge Brand X detergent washing machine display. Dex threw his grappling hook onto the balcony of the penthouse and climbed to the top. I've still got it, he said to himself as he stood on the balcony overlooking all of Marketropolis. He confidently yanked on the grappling hook, which sailed toward him faster than he had expected. As it smacked him on the head, Dex cringed. And I thought the raisins were humiliating, he sighed, rubbing his forehead. Dex shook off the setback and quietly opened the door to Lady X's luxury digs. Her apartment was decorated in a bold red and black. The lady's got style, Lex thought as he looked around. He picked up a fancy perfume bottle marked Elixir, opened it and sniffed. His eyes sparkled as he was suddenly overcome by the perfume. Dex, Lady X said as she walked through the double Ooh, wow. That was bad. The French doors. My God. Dex, Lady X said as she walked through the double French doors. I wasn't expecting company. Dex flipped the perfume bottle into his pocket. I'd say things are going exactly how you expected. Lady X clapped and the lights of the penthouse dimmed to a romantic glow. She turned on some tango music and walked toward Dex. How about joining me in a warm rinse? She asked as she pulled him into a tango. I'm not that dirty, Dex said. They both turned to the music and she kicked over a huge vase without missing a beat. But being filthy can be loads of fun, don't you think so, Dex? The two danced a tango across the room. I want to know how you rubbed all those Ikes out last night. Rubbed out all those Ikes last night, Dex said, leading Lady X into a dip. Me, Lady X said, looking up at him innocently, but I was with you, remember? Yeah, Dex said, pulling her up, trying to get me on the case before there even was one. Lady X elegantly kicked, knocking over a lamp with the tip of her foot. Naughty dog, she said. I really have been on your mind, haven't I? You've orchestrated this dance from the start, Lady, Dex said. I think you hijacked Dan and you've got him squirreled away somewhere. My friend better be alive or you're going to check out this store the hard way. With the strength that surprised Dex, Lady X suddenly pushed him into a dip. Your crash dummy's fine, for now, but you won't be unless you back Brand X. Dex nodded. So that's your game. They danced across the floor. We could run this store, Dex, Lady X said, and all to ourselves, packed tight, no markdowns for us. I could be your sunshine. The mention of Sunshine's name was like a slap in the face for Dex. He grabbed Lady X and spun her hard. There'll never be another Sunshine, he said. Now, I'm taking you in. Oh, shit. Hold on. There we go. Okay. No, what's going on? Okay, there we go. Lady X broke free and spun across the room, crashing into a tray of glasses. Not before I solve your case for you, she said angrily. She hid a red button behind a painting of a laundromat. A secret door opened, revealing large mosquito-like creatures. Meet my secret weapon, the exobites. Exobites? It's exobite. B-Y-T-E-S. Exobites. I'm saying exobites. Meet my secret weapon, the exobites, Lady X said proudly, pointing to the mechanical creatures, which had large stingers. They took out your precious Ikes for me. She gave the exobites a commanding wave, and they swarmed Dex. And now it's time to learn to heal, Dog Detective. Dex pulled his price gun and fired a blaze of stickers at the evil creatures. Exobites come standard with sticker-proof vests, Lady X said, laughing. But Dex ran out of ammo. When Dex ran out of ammo, he took on the exobites with his bare hands, but the swarm was more than Dex could manage, even with his martial arts skills. The exobites left the Dog Detective lying unconscious on the floor. What a shame, Lady X sighed as she bent over Dex's body. We could have been like mac and cheese, peanut butter and jelly. Dex slowly opened his eyes, adjusting to the dim light of the metal chamber he found himself lying in. A drop of something suddenly splattered onto his nose. He gave it a taste. Chocolate. Dan? Dex mumbled, looking up. Sure enough, the worried squirrel was leaning over his friend, sweating chocolate droplets. Ew. Ew. Dan's eyes widened. Dex, he cried, I knew you'd sniff me out. Dex sat up. You okay, pal? Is your chocolate chip? Dan threw himself into Dex for a bear hug. It was brutal. These giant exobiters. See, I said it right there because it's XO there, X-O, and that's how he's saying it. So that's right, I think. These giant exobiters slaughtered every Ike in sight. They didn't rub me out because Lady X digs my fine flavor and so sweet bod. Or, Dex said, maybe she used you as bait to get me. Dan was a little insulted. Oh, like you're the only Ike who could rescue me, figure out her game and shut her down. Dan thought for a second. Oh yeah, he said to Dex, you are. Too late, Lady X said. Too late, Lady X said from above. Not even the great Dex Dog Detective can save you now. She laughed and slammed the door on top of the great giant dryer. Dex and Dan were imprisoned in total darkness. Lady X nodded at the Brand X smashed potato man. He giddily turned the knob on the machine to the full dry cycle. After they've enjoyed the extra hot cycle, Lady X said, smiling, dump their bodies in the toothpaste aisle. I'm not even gonna look at mashed potato man. I'm sure this is his only line. We frame toothpaste now, the mashed potato man asked as he heard the machine word to life. Lady X shrugged. Everyone knows toothpaste hates sugar. Besides, we're done soft soaping. Frame them all, from spray starch to sliced salami, from calories to carbs. Then Brand X will step in and replace them all. As Lady X and her henchmen left the top of the dryer, Dex and Dan struggled in the spinning machine below. They began to run like hamsters on a hamster wheel. Dan was slammed into the side of the machine by a tumbling sock. The poor squirrel was melting in the heat of the dryer. Socks, that's it, said Dex. Socks always escape the dryer. Dex managed to catch a sock and kick off the contraption center. Got it, he shouted as he held the sock in one hand and grabbed Dan with the other. The two friends were sucked into the exhaust vents just as the machine began a violent spin cycle they would never have survived. Okay, pal, you're safe now, Dex said as they both climbed out of the exhaust vent onto the roof. Safe, Dex turned to leave. Wait, what? What's that? Yo, whoa, where are you going? That was weird. What is that? I don't know what that is. Dan asked him, Look, Dan, I just came to find you, but that's it. I don't... Yeah, Dan said. Don't get involved no more. Got it. But you might want to look at this first. Dex stopped and looked into another air vent. What the fudge? He demanded as a gush of steam suddenly blasted them both in the face. But the vent, through the vent they could see the inside. So it's just a bunch of pictures of Dex Dog Detective and Sunshine Goodness. What is this? Where's the book? Does it continue from there? I guess it is. Through the vent, they could see inside the cavernous bowels of the Brand X building. There was a mechanized high-tech factory of war. Dex recognized the weapons they were making. They were the exabytes they'd seen in Lady X's penthouse. Thousands of them. I'm going to change the song 1 second. They're building an entire army of robotic exobites, Dex told Dan. As they watched, the mechanical creatures moved down a conveyor belt to have their stingers filled with black sludge. Dex whispered to Dan, But what's that oily liquid? Yo, I saw that, Dan exclaimed. It's the same stuff they shot into Crispy and the other Ikes when they rubbed him out. Suddenly, over the loudspeaker, Lieutenant X announced, Attention all... Yeah, he's just got a normal voice. Attention all icons. Curfew is now in effect. Only Brand X officials are permitted in the aisles. All violators will be punished. Dex and Dan exchanged looks. Lady X's evil plot was clear. They must be planning to finish what they started last night, Dex said. Brand X is going to take over the entire store. Come on, let's get him, Dan said, ready to charge. I ain't afraid. Well, I am, Dex said, stopping his friend. Dan was stunned. You are? Really? Big time afraid or a little afraid? Can't you see, Dan? I let Sunshine down and I lost her, and now I'm afraid of letting everybody else down and of losing them. And you too. Oh, now you done it, Dan said as he sniffed and wiped away a tear. Nothing worse than mushy chocolate. Come on, man. Every Ike in this store needs you. They believe in you. You don't understand, Dex said. I just don't know if I can cut the mustard anymore. Dan wasn't about to let the great dog detective give up. You gotta believe in yourself. You have to dare the day again. Oh, God damn it. No, shit. Go back. What the fuck? Oh, my God. Shit. What the fuck happened? Come on, man. No. This isn't what I'm doing. No, I don't want to do any of this. Fuck. Shit. I hit some button and it fucking clicked out of it. God damn it. Here we go. Okay. Come on. Come on, honey. Load it, please. Here we go. Okay. I can't tell if anyone's watching this at all. I think it's just me, so it's fine. Let's see. Where was I? Where the fuck was I? Here we go, yeah. Dan wasn't about to let the great dog detective give up. You gotta believe in yourself. You have to dare the day again, he said. If Sunshine were here, she would. Dex took a deep breath. Dan was right. Sunshine would have believed that he could save the market. She would have believed that he could save the whole world if it needed saving, and that he would go for it, giving it everything he had. You know, Dex said, shaking his head, I do have an idea. Dan gave his friend a huge buck-toothed grin. Now that's more like it. Dex the dog detective is back. But, Dex warned him, it's really, really, really dangerous. The squirrel paused. How come you said really 3 times? I haven't ever heard you do that. Not that I'm scared or nothing. Dex put his arm around Dan's shoulder. Come on, pal, he said, smiling. Let's get out of here. Chapter 13. Dan and Dex made their way through Marketropolis to the usually quiet toiletries aisle. They spotted the line of Brand X soldiers marching by. Probably out enforcing Lady X's curfew, Dex thought. How convenient to have every Ike in town locked down for the night. Brand X could knock off the Ikes one by one with no witnesses. Dex and Dan ducked into Dr. Nustrick's office. Nustrix was a nasal spray Ike with knowledge of every ingredient of every product on the pharmaceutical aisle. Dan and Dex had almost made it through the door when Dan slipped and landed on the sleeping Dr. Nustrix's huge nose. Okay, who's Dr. Nustrix? Dr. Nustrix. Dr. Nustrix is done by James Arnold Taylor. He's got, I don't know, he's got a big old nose. He's got a big old freaking nose. He's got a big nose. I'm guessing he sounds like he's stuffed up. Holy schnozola. Nostrix yelled as he woke with a squirrel on his nose. What's going on? What's going on? Like, what the fuck am I trying to do here? What's going on here? That seems like that might be construed as insensitive. Holy schnozola, Nustrix yelled as he woke with a squirrel in his nose. What's going on? Dex pulled the bottle of Lady X's perfume from his pocket. We need you to analyze this. I borrowed it from Lady X. I think it's the secret ingredient in the Brand X elixir. Brand X, why me? Dr. Nustrix asked in panic. He had learned to keep his nose out of other people's business. I'm just a nose doctor. I can't. But before he could finish, Dex slapped him. Snap out of it, Doc. You're the only one with a nose for the job, Dex told him. Dr. Nustrix reluctantly agreed to help. Okay, he said, letting out a huge sneeze that soaked Dan and Dex. I'll give it a whiff. A short time later, as Dr. Nustrix's lab, Dan and Dex watched the elixir go into the doctor's olfactometer. The machine chugged and burped. Analysis is nearly complete, Dr. Nustrix told them. Dan started fidgeting with bubbling vials and beakers as they waited. The doctor slapped Dan's hand as he read the results from the machine. That's odd. My olfactometer can't fully identify the main ingredient, the doctor said. This I can tell you, though. The Brand X elixir is toxic to humans and highly addictive. Addictive, Dex said. Addictive. It's Charlie Sheen. It's Charlie Sheen's voice. Addictive. I'm Dex Dog Detective. I'm, Wild Thing. They call me Wild Thing. They call me the Wild Thing. On the baseball team, they call me the Wild Thing. There we go. Addictive, Dex said, nodding. Oh God, I got fucking nasty. I got nose grease on my glasses. I got fucking nose grease on my glasses on live on internet camera. How embarrassing. Okay, what was addictive? Dex said, nodding. Okay, so that explains why customers are buying up Brand X products like crazy. Dan picked up the bottle of elixir and took a sniff. The squirrel's eyes sparkled as he looked at Dr. Nustrix. Have I mentioned you look fabulous in that lab coat? Dan asked dreamily. Dex and Dr. Nustrix took a step away from the elixir-addled squirrel at the same time. We have to find a way to protect the humans, Dex said, trying to focus on the big picture. And thus, Dr. Nustrix cried, how can we regular icons compete against the irresistible elixir? Dex shook his head. He could see that it was almost sunrise. We can't, he said. It won't be long before the whole store will be. Dr. Nustrix gasped as he suddenly realized what was going to happen. The rest of us discontinued, he shouted. Dan kept fiddling with the beakers. If we could just get this info into our market's corporate headquarters, Dex said, they'd have to recall Brand X. Impossible, Dr. Nusk said. Their offices are outside the store, miles away from here. How could you possibly reach them? Dex snapped his fingers. Email, he said, from Mr. Leonard's computer.
But it's in the expiration station at the other end of the store. You'd never make it there before the market opens.
Dr. Nustrix said, checking his watch. I'm sorry my nose is so greasy. I'm a very gross person. Then we crossed during the day, Dex said. Dan suddenly looked up. Daytime, he exclaimed. No one has ever done that. He knocked over a few sizzling beakers as he said, you flipped your flap. Have you flipped your flapjacks? What about all those humans out there? The ones with the huge feet that are never ever supposed to squash and see us, Ikes? Not that I can't handle it, because I can. Dex knew how dangerous it would be, but he also knew what would happen if they didn't try. We won't survive another night against Brand X. It's our only shot. Nervous Dr. Nustrix was happy to see them go. He was ready to get in bed, pull the covers over his big nose, and forget the whole thing when one of Dan's mixtures caught fire and blew up his whole lab. The doctor looked at the mess, then sighed. What's going on here? His narrow shoulders slumping. What's verifying? What's going on? Whatever. As long as it doesn't impede me. Everything's working okay, yes? Yeah. Internet's not great, but I think it's fine. What are you verifying, computer? What are you verifying? What do you need to verify? Verifying Google Updater? Why? What on earth would that be for? Okay, I think it's done. I think it's done verifying whatever it needed to verify. See, I'm like basically on the part I just read. Cool. Dokie. Let's see what other. Maybe I'll see if maybe some of this music might work. This music I don't always use for reading, but it might work. No, not that one. Not that one. It's a little too much drum. A little too much drum. That might be okay. Because things are going better. You know, things are going better here. They got a plan. They're working together. Lady X is not fucking torn these parts, these boys, these fun friends. She can't tear them apart. Their bond is too strong. Okay. They're as thick as thieves. They're the most steadfast friends you could ever find. And now they're gonna fucking take this lady down. Brand X is gonna get the hell out of Marketropolis, I think. Well, let's see. Onward, chapter 14. Moving fast and staying low, Dex and Dan headed across the rooftops of Marketropolis. All at once, sunlight filled the aisles, and the city instantly turned into a supermarket. Many of the market's shelves were filled with drab, gray Brand X products instead of the brightly colored brand name packages. Dex shook his head. I can't believe I let it get this far. Brand X is spreading like moldy cheese, Dan said. How are we ever going to stop him in time? The first customers of the day charged... I'm sorry. In perils of doing life stuff. It's too boppin'. It's too boppin'. This might work. Brand X is spreading like moldy cheese, Dan said. How are we ever going to stop him in time? The first customers of the day charged into the store. Behind them was the tall, thin Brand X representative carrying his clipboard. His men were delivering more pallets of Brand X products all with elixir. Dex had seen enough. We must have lost hundreds of Ikes last night. Come on, pal. Let's get going before we lose any more. The two looked down into the aisles where shopping carts were zooming toward the new Brand X displays. Dan looked at the traffic. How are we supposed to cross 10 aisles of that? He asked Dex. If the next thing you hear is clean up on aisle 1, Dex answered, you know we blew it. Suddenly, Brand X Mashed Potato Man jumped in front of them. He cracked his knuckles. Not take that long, he grunted.
Not take that long. Not take that long.
He grunted with his thick, Austrian accent. Okay, let me think. I can think it's like a sprocket or something. Not take that long. He grunted with his thick Austrian accent. I mash your potatoes now. Dan took a step toward the brute. Oh, I get it. You're the Brand X Mashed Potato Man. Oh yeah, that's clever. Well, my friend Dex is gonna get creative on your. Are you crazy? Dex cried. He's huge. Brand X soldiers were moving down the shelves. Let's get the strawberry jam out of here, Dex shouted as the two began to run. The lumpy Mashed Potato Man quickly slung a pudding lid at them. Dex yanked Dan out of the way as the disc whizzed by their heads. The Potato Man and the Brand X soldiers were too close for Dex's taste. He drove off the shelf, pulling Dan along with him. Dan dropped into the lap of a surprised toddler sitting in a shopping cart. The child was about to take Dan into his sticky fingers when his mother snatched the horrified chocolate squirrel away. No, she said as she tossed Dan back toward the shelf. I'm not buying that for you. But Dan missed the shelf and plummeted to the floor, screaming. A large shoe was about to trample him into chocolate chips when Dex lunged and pulled him onto a cart. That was close, Dex said, relieved. As shoppers continued to race for the Brand X products on display, Dex and Dan bounced along in the cart's undercarriage, just inches from the wheels. What do you mean was? Dan cried as the Mashed Potato Man zoomed towards them on the undercarriage of another cart. Miss me? The crazed Mashed Potato Man shouted, brandishing a potato masher over his head. Sparks flew as the two carts collided. A third cart carrying General X and Lieutenant X moved in from the other side. Dex and Dan were surrounded. The Mashed Potato Man leaped from his cart, landed in front of Dan, and began chasing the terrified squirrel in circles. Dex jumped wildly into the dairy section and tossed a stick of butter to Dan. Okay, butter his buns, Dex yelled. The evil Brand X Mashed Potato Man had almost cornered Dan when the squirrel swung the stick of butter with all his might. The Potato Man grinned and swallowed the whole greasy stick in one gulp. Butter go good with potatoes, the ugly man said, smiling at Dan. You like me? Dan rolled his eyes. No, I don't like you, you salmonella-smelling, mush-faced moron. Dan immediately regretted his words. You hurt Mashed Potato Man's feelings, the huge creature whined. Now I hurt you. The Mashed Potato Man raised his masher. Above them, suspended by a cable attached to his belt, Dex swung down, riding a bottle of soda. He yanked Dan onto the bottle as the Mashed Potato Man swung his masher at Dan. The Mashed Potato Man missed and hit the bottle cap instead. Dan cheered as the fizz from the bottle zoomed then straight up. Dare the day, Dan yelled down at the angry Potato Man, and Mayday, Mayday, Dan screamed as the green bottle began to lose altitude. They were plummeting, heading toward the frozen food section. Dex and Dan braced themselves. The glass door of the ice cream freezer was coming at them fast. They were about to hit the door when a customer's hand reached for the handle and opened it. The green bottle whooshed inside, and Dex and Dan felt the icy cold surround them as they crashed into a tub of Polar Pleasure ice cream. Dex found himself lying alone in the snow next to a towering ice cream cone tree. Dex, Dan. Sorry. Dan, he called out. Are you okay, Dan? A second later, Dan crashed to the base. Oh my God, I'm sorry. A second later, Dan crashed to the base of the tree. Sporting a pine bow on his head, he answered, dazed, I'm cool, I'm good. Nice hat, Dex said, trying not to smirk at his friend. That was funny. Chapter 15. At that moment, on the toothpaste aisle, Lady X and her minions were busy carrying out their plan to rub out all the store's Ikes. They had Twinkleton, a large elephant Ike from a popular toothpaste, crammed into a dentist's chair. Who's Twinkleton? Who does Twinkleton? Who does Twinkleton? Who does Twinkleton, please? Twinkleton? Daniel Francese? What's going on? The terrified elephant asked. Oh, they can't both have the exact same voice. Elephants. What do elephants sound like? Elephants that I know in fiction. Horton hears a who. What did he? Who was his voice? Was that Steve Carell? I think it was. It was either that or Jim Carrey. One of the two of them did either Horton or the who heard the Horton. I don't remember. So, elephant voice. God, I don't want to get too stuck on this. What's going on? The elephant asks. We have reports you're plotting against Sugars, Lieutenant X told him as he focused a glaring light into the elephant's eyes. Me, I don't even have fluoride, Twinkleton said. I'm just a whitener. Lady X stepped in front of Lieutenant, a drill screaming in her hand. She moved the light closer to the poor elephant and leaned over him. Twinkleton began to scream. Oh my. Back in the freezer case, Lady X's henchmen patrolling on snowmobiles spotted Dex and Dan. Dan sprang to his feet and knocked the tree branch off his head. The Brand X snowmobiles were zooming toward them. Dex and Dan suddenly heard a giant kaboom above them. More Brand X soldiers were setting off explosives on a nearby mountain. It began to shake and rumble. An avalanche was careening toward them when Polar Penguin pulled up on his toboggan. You fellas need a lift? He said merrily. Dan quickly pushed the little penguin aside. I'll drive. Can you handle one of these? Dex asked. As well as I can fly a plane. Well, that's what I was afraid of, Dex answered and hung on for dear life. Dan zipped through the tunnels of ice and over huge jumps. Dex shouted to the little penguin, Polar, you need to warn the other Ikes. Brand X is behind the rubouts. Before Polar Penguin could answer, a Brand X snowmobile closed in on them. The Ike glided down on his large bat wings and landed next to them. He leaned over and sniffed Dan. Oh, who's this bat? Who's this bat? Who's this bat? What's his name? Mr. Bat. Oh, can you tell me? It's Vlad. Okay, Vlad. Let's see. I'm guessing he's like a Bela Lugosi guy. Larry Miller. Okay, Larry Miller. He's like, okay. Okay. Yeah, because he's like, I'm trying to think of him like waiting for Guffman. Yeah. Me and Cookie had a nice time up there in the Ferris wheel. Me and Cookie. Cookie. Oh, she still got it. Cookie still got it. Okay. Yeah, we got it. Okay. Is that the entire? It's not. Yeah, I was getting a little too like. It's more like. Is that the entire? Is that? There we go. Is that the enticing scent of rich, creamy chocolate I detect? Dan scurried behind Dex. You're looking pretty good for biting it, Dex said, putting down his guns. Vlad lifted his cape and showed them the exobite stinger mark on his rump. Oh, they poisoned... It's kind of hard to hold on to it. Let me think. Is that... Oh, they poisoned me like the other Ikes. But what can I... Okay. He's got the fucking, like... They're using... Unless it's some sort of printing error, which I don't think it is based off of the spacing. I think they're supplementing W's for V's, or V's for W's, rather. So it's like Vat. So I'm gonna do Bela Lugosi, which I think I can hold on to much easily. Is that the enticing scent of rich, creamy chocolate that the text? See, it's really good. Like all my other ones, it's awesome. Dan scurried behind Dex. You're looking pretty good for biting it, Dex said, putting down his guns. Vlad lifted his cape and showed them the exobite stinger mark on his rump. Well, they poisoned me like the other eggs, but what can I say? I am the undead. See, it's very good. Chapter 16. As Mr. Leonard pulled away from his beloved market that night, the only light coming from it was as gray as the Brand X boxes that filled the store. Roving searchlights began scanning the aisles. Mandatory security rally tonight. All icons must attend or face the penalty of elimination. A voice blared over the intercom for the few terrified Ikes who remained outside the expiration station. Brand X soldiers were gathering in force. Hold on, let me change the song real quick. Let's see. Gathering in force. And is Jerry Stiller's General X? Yes. Yeah. Del Boca Vista? Del Boca Vista? There we go. You seal the door. And find the fuse box, General X ordered one group of soldiers. Inside, Vlad, Dex, and Dan worked frantically at the computer's keyboard. A blue icon appeared on the monitor. How can I help you? Upload, download, scan? The icon asked. Blue, Dex said. We're going to get corporate to recall Brand X. Can you bring up a form? Suddenly they heard a spurting sound outside the station's steel doors. Dex heard someone say, this will seal their doom. I have a hard time because I don't know who's talking at any given moment. Dex sniffed the air. Loney glue, he said. They're locking us in. Dan panicked, looked at the expired Ikes and then at Vlad. In here with them and him? Dan raised his fingers in the sign of a cross. Let's just all get cozy, Vlad said, raising an eyebrow. I'll work with Blue, Dex said to Vlad and Dan. What does that mean? You fly around and check for loose vent gates. The vampire took off and Dan took off with Dan on his back and smacked into the wall beneath the vent. Oh yeah, good plan, Dan said. You know, if you would let me lead, Vlad answered as the two took off and careened around the room. Dex focused on the computer screen. Scanning forms. Only 2 recalls on file, the blue icon said. The first file opened and Dex was suddenly looking into the incredibly wrinkled face of Priscilla Pusley. Priscilla Pusley's genetically gigantic prunes. Dex said, Priscilla, God, there's so many gravelly voice guys. Priscilla, I'm wild. They call me the wild thing. They call me the wild thing on the baseball field. That's right. Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm the wild thing. Priscilla Pusley's genetic gigantic prunes, Dan said, surprised and a little disgusted. What kind of fool needs a bigger prune? Dan asked as he and Vlad made a low pass. Nobody, Dex answered. Priscilla had the worst sales in store history. And here is the other recall, the blue icon said. I feel like I should have done a different voice with it, but I have to stick with it. The blue icon said as the second folder popped up on screen. Dex couldn't have been more surprised. It was a processing form recalling the Sunshine Goodness label. Sunshine recalled, Dex asked in shock. Who ordered it? No name, the blue icon reported. Address only. Same locations as Priscilla Pusley's recall. That's impossible, Dex said. Sunshine and Priscilla had different manufacturers. Blue, run a search on that address again for all the manufacturers on file. Dex waited for a moment. The screen was then filled with Brand X Industries. Brand X ordered both the recalls, Dex said to himself. Vlad and Dan flew past the screen again, this time upside down. I don't get it, Dan said. I don't either. What the fuck's going on? I don't get it, Dan said, then let out an oof as they crashed into the air vent cover, knocking it to the ground. Dex was fuming, gritting his teeth. Brand X took my sunshine away. Easy, bro, Dan said. I know how you feel. No, Dex said with fire in his eyes. No one can. Not even you. But you gotta stay focused on Brand X, or Brand X gonna take everything else you love too. Not while I'm still breathing, Dex said, suddenly determined. He typed a new command on the computer keyboard. We have to send a form to recall all of Brand X products. Before Dex's eyes, a blank form immediately appeared on the screen. Outside the expiration station, 2 Brand X soldiers were shooting twine at the fuse box. We are pulling the plug on these traitors, Lieutenant X exclaimed as the twine looped around the fuse-marked storage room. They pulled and tugged the twine in unison. Inside the expiration station, Dex had his eyes glued to the computer screen. He filled out the form to recall all Brand X products. Sending now, the little blue icon said. The screen flashed the words, connection in progress. Then, Fitz, the screen went blank. What happened? Vlad asked. Brand X must have killed the power, Dex answered. But the email went through, right? Dan said, hopefully. It's weird that this is all hinging on like a form being filled out in an email. It's kind of a strange thing for a kid's movie. Maybe, Dex said, calculating their chances in his head. But now we can't count on headquarters coming to save us. But you said we ain't gonna survive the night unless headquarters gets rid of Brand X, Dan said nervously. So what do we do now? Dex knew there was only one answer to that question. Fight, he said. Come on, he said to Vlad and Dan. Let's get to that vent and
Over to the Copa Banana. The egg timer's ticking.
Jeez. Okay. Chapter 17. On the balcony of the Brand X detergent building, Lady X was addressing a crowd of nervous Ikes. General X and Lieutenant X were at her side. The crowd listened as she described life in the market's new world order. There are only two kinds of product icons, desirable like me, and undesirable. We must send all the undesirables where they belong, the expiration station. A grim hush fell over the crowd. It was everyone's worst nightmare. Look around, Lady X told them. Do you see an Ike like an inferior product? Turn in the undesirables and join Brand X for a better way of life. Aunt Acid suddenly stood and pointed at the friendly Kiwi Cola Ike. Who's that? Is that anybody? Aunt Acid? I'm starting to reach my limit, I think, of things I can remember. Aunt Acid. I don't see Aunt Acid. I don't see Aunt Acid. I don't see Aunt Acid. Okay, it's not there. According to IMDb, there is no Aunt Acid. He might be a fucking character that was made for the novelization exclusively. I don't know. I don't know. Ugh, God. Okay. Aunt Acid suddenly stood and pointed at the friendly Kiwi Cola Ike. Kiwi Cola causes heartburn, he yelled. Mashed Potato Man grabbed the poor Koala Ike and roughly hauled him away. From this day forward, Lady X shouted triumphantly, you must prove you are desirable. Inside the airfin over the crowd, Dan rode on Vlad's back as Dex whipped around on the computer mouse Vlad was dragging. They could hear Lady X. Soon we will become the model of excellence, she said, until the entire world is just like us. Fearing that they might be singled out next, the little Ikes cheered. One store, one X, one world, one X, Lady X chanted. I thought that was the crowd. One store, one X, one world, one X, Lady X chanted. One store, one X, one world, one X, the Ikes chanted along. The USDA members, Francois Fromage, Polar Penguin, Sweet Cakes, and Harry Holt quietly shook their heads as they stood on stage with Lady X. You have placed us in le pickle, Harry, Francois said. You don't understand, Harry answered nervously. She promised. This will all work out. It just has to. Lady X turned on her withering gaze on Harry. He forced a smile and joined the crowd in cheering, one store, one X, one world, one X. At the same time, inside the Copa Banana, a tattered but determined band of Ikes calling themselves La Resistance were having their first meeting. Oh, God, I don't know. I know I can do the French guy and the British guy. And I don't think anyone's going to come after me. But Lola, whose introductory line is holy tamales. I don't know if I want to be like doing what I would approximate as an ethnically correct voice for Lola Banana or Lola Capicola, whatever the fuck her name is. I don't know. I think she looks like the Carmen Miranda, like Chiquita Banana Lady or whatever. So she just talks like this. Holy tamales, Lola said when she heard the chanting led by Harry and Lady X. I cannot believe what these eggheads are saying out there. Let's slice them up like sushi. She turned up the upmarket fish Ike, who was staring at her in wide-eyed horror. It's funny how they can't say some of these brand names. Sorry, just a figure of speech, she said with an apologetic smile. Suddenly, Francois, Polar, and Sweet Cakes rushed in, shouting, We wish to join La Resistance. That's swell, Maximilius Moose said. But if the boss don't get here soon, before the worried bouncer could finish, 10 Brand X soldiers crashed through the door of the club. They were followed by the evil Lieutenant X. Everyone in the club went silent as he circled the room. Dex Dog Detective has been discontinued, Lieutenant X announced, and unless you care to suffer a long, cruel expiration, you will sing your allegiance to Brand X. Lieutenant X gave his soldiers a nod, and they began singing. Brand X, it's simple and plain. Brand X, it's different, but all the same. Only a couple of scared Ikes sang along with them. Lieutenant X stopped in front of Francois Fromage, who refused to sing. The Brand X soldiers surrounded him. We want to hear you sing with feeling, Lieutenant X snarled into the frog's face. But I'm not the Brand X icon, he answered, then proudly began to sing the USDA Ike song. Don't get smart, cheeseballer. I'll grate you alive, Lieutenant X snapped. Dex burst into the club. He stared down Lieutenant X, then turned to the raisins on stage. Play it, he shouted. The crowd froze. Their great dog detective hadn't been discontinued. He was just getting started. But boss, Maximilius said, looking at the menacing Brand X soldiers. I said play it. The raisins on stage began the tune, and Dex sang, We are the USDA, and we serve freedom every day. Dan came through the door behind him and joined him. We protect and serve ourselves. Our goods sit proudly on the shelves. The Brand X soldiers sang loudly, Brand X, it's simple and plain. Brand X, it's different but all the same. But every ike in the room sang in response, We are the USDA, we serve freedom every day. We protect and serve ourselves. Our goods sit proudly on the shelves. The Brand X soldiers were completely drowned out. Very touching, Lieutenant X said to Dex and Dan with a sneer. Maybe you two would care to sing it for Lady X. Ooh. Sing it for Lady X. Go tell Lady X this is still my club, Dex replied as the soldiers headed for the door. And you... Oop. Shit. There we go. And you and your lousy jingle aren't welcome. We will return, Lieutenant X threatened, waving a fist, to pulverize you all. Lola threw her arms around Dex's neck and squealed for joy as the Ikes crowded around him. I knew they couldn't discontinue. I knew they couldn't discontinue you, Lola said, planting a kiss on Dex's cheek. Not without a fight. Not without a fight. They call me the wild thing. I'm not without a fight, Dex told the crowd. When Lady X... Sorry, 1 second. Okay. Let's see. I knew they couldn't discontinue you. Discontinue. That's hard to say. I knew they couldn't discontinue you, Lola said, planting a kiss on Dex's cheek. Not without a fight, Dex told the crowd. When Lady X finds out Dan and I are still alive, she'll come after us, all of us, with everything she's got. If she can't have our store, she'll destroy it. We have only one option. A hush went over the crew. Boss, the moose said, He's talking about a good fight. Dex knew that no one wanted to hear, but there was nothing left for them to do. We've all lost someone, a friend, a neighbor, someone we love, Dex said, holding the worn picture of sunshine in his hand. But we can't fight for the way things were. We can only fight for the way things should be. Together we can stop this tyrant. Now who's with us? Polar Penguin was the first to step up. I'm with you guys. But could someone please turn up the heat? Maximilius Moose spoke for all the Ikes in the room. We're with you all the way, boss. We always have been. Dex nodded. Thanks. All right, then. I started talking like Steven Seagal there. Yeah, okay, yeah, good. Yes, I understand. Was it? They call me the wild thing. There we go, okay. Dex nodded. Thanks, all right, then. Let me show you what I've got in mind. Chapter 18. We're getting there. What's it fucking like? It's like 30 pages left. Chapter 18. Across the store, Lady X... I'm going to change this one. No. Across the store, Lady X was surveying her troops as they marched down the market's main aisle. Behind her, Harry Holt, the remaining member of the USDA, was nervously pulling what was left of his hair. We have the resistance cornered, Lady X said, beaming. We will take no prisoners. Hundreds of exobites flew over the troops in attack formation. We will show no mercy, she cried. We will exterminate them all. One world, one X. The reply came from Brand X-filled aisles. No Dan, no Dex. Inside the cope of banana, Dex unrolled a map. So we'll need all the aluminum foil and trash bags in the store, he told the Ikes. And that, my friends, is one-stop shopping. Any more questions? Yeah, what about those flying ice slice and dicers, Dan asked. How do we stop those suckers? Dex looked at his fellow Ikes. I'm not going to sell you a bill of goods. We're out-armed and out-Iked. But as long as we work together, we have a chance. Suddenly, Francois yelled, Le Brandex comes! Le Brandex comes! The troops were advancing fast. This is it, Dex told the Ikes. We stop Brandex here tonight, or it's this store, then another, till they spread like mold around the world. We have to defend ourselves and people everywhere. The resistance cheered. Using a pair of high-powered binoculars on her balcony, Lady X spotted Dex. I have the dirty dog, she said. Produce. From the roof of the produce section, produce. From the roof of the produce section, Dex saw Lady X through the telescope. Come and get me, baby, he said with a grin. Lady X called to her general through his headset. Attack and annihilate. He's on the roof. Get him. Dex ran along the roofline and jumped to another building at the end of the alley. General X led his troops into the alley. They threw grappling hooks up onto the roof where Dex was standing. Dex closed his eyes, still holding the picture of Sunshine. He yelled, Foodfight! There we go. That's the movie title. That's the title of the movie. Every Ike suddenly appeared on the rooftop. General X looked up. Del Boca Vista. It's a trick, he cried, but it was too late. Vats of hot chocolate rained down on the climbing Brandex soldiers, washing them from their grappling lines. Dex raised his fist and another line of Ikes began hurling fruits and vegetables at the troops. Del Boca Vista. Retreat! General X shouted, and the remaining troops ran from the opening of the alley, but they screeched to a stop when they found it blocked by Francois Fromage. He was standing in front of a chain of linked sausage, and he meant business. Cream pies were loaded into spatulas that balanced on the sausage links, and with a wave of Fromage's hand, row after row of pies was launched at General X and his men. Cream them, Dex shouted from the rooftop. From her balcony, Lady X watched, and she was surprisingly calm. All right, Dog Detective, now your master must punish you. She spoke into her headset, ordering the mashed potato man to whip them up. Whip them, she called out to him. Whip them bad. The Ikes cheered as General X and his troops, it says troop, I think it should be troop, and his troops retreated in all directions. They felt like brand-name heroes until the mashed potato man turned the corner. He was leading 15,000 Brandex soldiers armed with cans of whipped cream. They sprayed the Ikes, pushing them back in a wave of foam. Brandex tanks of ketchup appeared with giant hands banging on the bottles. Blasts of ketchup flew into the air. They mixed with whipped cream and sent nauseated Ikes running in chaos. Change this song. Where was I? Shit. Sorry to change the song. Running in chaos. Lady X smiled from her balcony. She wasn't through with these pitiful Ikes yet. She raised a hand and a swarm of exobites took to the air. They attacked the fleeing Ikes, who dove for cover. I'm exquisite, she said with a laugh. Dex saw the swarm attack. He jumped onto another rooftop and signaled every flying Ike in the market. Vlad, Dan, and an army of other brave Ikes were ready. Okay, everyone, Dex shouted, giving them a thumbs up. Let's gum up their works. They all shoved bubble gum into their mouths and took to the sky. In his XJ-1 jet, Dan chewed frantically. Just be cool, he said to himself. They're nothing but overgrown mosquitoes with gigantic deadly stingers that want to kill me. Terrified, Dan drew the buzzing exobites into a wild air chase, leading them right into a pack of flying Ikes. The chewing Ikes blew enormous pink bubbles and released them into the air. It was like an aerial minefield. The exobites hit the bubbles with a splat, gumming up their wings and spiraling to the ground. Below them, General X was loading a line of catapults with zucchini. Squash them all! That was Lady X, shit. Squash them all, Lady X shouted angrily. With a wave of the general's arm, the zucchini was fired. Polar Penguin was about to be flattened when Dex pulled him clear. Head for the banana, Dex yelled to the Ikes behind him. Lady X watched through her binoculars. She held up a spiked dog collar. Run while you can, Dex, Dog Detective. Soon I'll have you sitting up and begging for mercy. Chapter 19. Dex rushed through the doors of the Copa Banana and slammed right into Maximilius. Maximilius, Dex shouted. Phase 2, go! The large moose was trying to push his bottom through a small drain grate. Maybe I shouldn't ought to eaten that last donut, he said, himself grunting. A figure slinked from the shadows. Amateurs, Cheezel sneered. It would appear that you are in need of a professional. How do we know you're not with Brand X? Dex asked him. The weasel framed his face with his fingers. According to the lady, he said, I'm the poster boy for undesirable products. Maximilius looked at Dex. You know, boss, we could fight fire with fire, the moose said. Looks like filth. More like filth with sleaze, Dex said. I much prefer evil with charm, Cheezel suggested as a compromise, but perhaps now is not the time to quibble over semantics. Dex nodded. Welcome to the war, Weasel. Cheezel slipped a pair of goggles on. It's a far, far better thing to do than I have ever done before, he said. He was saying dramatically when Maximilius kicked him in the butt, sending him down the drain. Isn't great, the weasel called back. All over Marketropolis, Ikes were busy carrying out Phase 2. They built lightning rods out of aluminum foil and attached them to structures big and small. Then they waited for Dex's signal. Inside the Brand X building, Harry Holt spoke to Lady X. This can't be happening, he said. You lied to me. Lady X turned to the balding Ike. Lied to you? That's not true. I did more than you let me do. You handed me this store on a party platter. Lieutenant X burst through the doors. He was dragging Lord Flushington Frog by the neck. He knows their plan but refuses to tell. Lady X motioned to the lieutenant, who forced Flushington's mouth open and pulled out his long tongue. Lady X picked up a knife. Then he won't talk to anyone, she said, lunging towards the helpless frog, ever again. Harry defiantly grabbed Lady X's arm. Enough, he hollered. Lady X turned on him like a viper. Careful, Harry, she said, if you value what little hair you have left. Harry threw his USDA badge on the floor. He knew that the badge meant nothing as long as Brand X was in control. What's the point of luxurious locks if you can't look yourself in the mirror? Lady X crushed the badge under her heel as Harry took Flushington to his side and ran. Lieutenant X began to follow, but Lady X held him back. Don't let him go, she said as another swarm of exobites took into the air. He'll be wiped out like the rest of them. The cat's really trying to get in here. I'm making a show. Chapter 20. Chapter 20. The war raged on in the produce section. Polar Penguin was trying to fend off a menacing group of exobites with a can of bug spray. Dex rushed in to help him when the brave little penguin was stung in the back. No, Dex shouted as the penguin collapsed and the exobites flew off. Is the video still okay? Yes, it was. Oh, it's almost over. Okay. I'll start it over. Kitty cat, you're gonna have to wait a little bit, okay? I'm almost done. We got like what? Fucking it's like fucking 10 pages. It's just like 10 pages. No, Dex shouted as the penguin collapsed and the exobites flew off. Dex suddenly heard the sound of cruel laughter. As he looked up, General X was smiling. Del Boca Vista. Another pathetic Ike bites the dust, General X sneered. Dex drew both of his price tag guns and covered the general in stickers, driving him back. Dex picked up Polar's limp body. He looked up at the gray Brand X building. I'm coming for you, lady, he promised. From her balcony, Lady X surveyed the damage. Roll over, dog detective, she said. You're mine. Oh, shit. Inside the Copa Banana, Lola and Sweet Cakes were tending to the wounded. The stretchers were coming in fast. Francois Fromage raised a fist and bravely cried, Vive la Resistance! Before he expired. Oh my god. Lola placed a piece of cheesecloth over his body. Adios, my brave cheese poof Ike, she said sadly. Dex rushed through the door. Hang in there, Polar, he said, laying the expiring penguin on a table. If you're ever in that big freezer in the sky, Polar said, gasping, you've got a friend, Dex. Polar closed his eyes. An ugly layer of... God, people are dying. Jesus. An ugly layer of frost suddenly covered his body. He expired. Dex turned away as Maximilius laid a tissue over his body. Use the whole box, Dex told the moose. Polar would have liked it that way. Dex, a voice yelled. Dex looked up. It was Dr. Nustrix. All right. Dex, a voice yelled.
I ran tests on the poison liquid the exobites are stinking our Ikes with.
Good work, Dex said. Greasy nose, I'm sorry. So what is it?
It's discernative. Imagine the chemical opposite of a preservative. One dose causes the victim to spoil in its own unique way. A cookie crumbles, ice cream gets freezer burned.
I get the picture, Dex said, surrounded by expired ice. But we need an antidote fast.
Ham doesn't, Dex. I'm a nose doctor, not a miracle worker.
Dr. Nustrick said. Vlad suddenly rushed over. He'd been monitoring their plan's progress. The lightning rods are in place. The lightning rods are in place, he shouted. Dex nodded and said, now phase 2 is up to Cheezel the Weasel. Vlad saluted and rushed out. He bumped into Dan, who was stumbling through the door. The chocolate squirrel was war-torn and weary. Dex helped him to a chair by the window. Easy, Dan, he said. Dan shook his head. Phase 2 ain't gonna work, he said to Dex, not with all them exabytes swarming us. There's just too many of them. Using his telescope, X looked out the window. They're refueling their poison inside the Brand X building. Can you fly me over to Lady X's aisle? Sure, no problem, except I don't have a death wish, Dan muttered as he wearily followed Dex out the door. The street was still a smoking battlefield. If I can cut off their poison supply, maybe we can turn this thing around, Dex said as a can of whipped cream exploded close by. They ducked into a foxhole. Suppose you make it in. There's no way you'll get out. It's suicide, Dan cried. Dex and Dan covered their heads as another explosion rocketed the street. Like Sunshine always used to say, when in doubt, just do the right thing and it'll always turn out. Yeah, Dan answered, but I don't want to lose you too. Dex smiled through the grit and smoke. Hey, pal, you're the one who convinced me to get in the game and dare the day. You never stop believing in me, even when I stop believing in myself. That's because you're the... God, I hate this. Sometimes I hate how Dan's dialogue is written. That's because you the best, Dan said. But you go in there. You ain't coming out. Don't do it, Dex. You should be here with us. Dex nodded. I should have been with you the whole time, but after Sunshine vanished, I just gave up. I let you all down. Dex looked over the war zone. I know now that my problems are just a hill of coffee beans compared to our world. He looked at Dan and put his hand on his shoulder and said, our family. If I don't make it back, I'm counting on you to take my place, pal. Me, but you can do it, Dan. I believe in you. This place won't be the same without you, Dan said, choking up. It won't be. Dex pointed at his heart. The secret's inside, old buddy, he said bravely. I'll be just fine. He grinned at the chocolate squirrel. So am I flying or am I walking? Dan grinned back. Let's win this sucker, he said, slapping his aviator goggles. Chapter 21. Sorry. All right. In a dark corner of the dingy discount aisle, Cheezel the Weasel raised his furry head from a manhole. The weasel was behind enemy lines, and he crept along a wall, dragging a heavy axe. He spied a thick cable that ran up a telephone pole to a red box marked power. With one powerful stroke, he hit the cable with an axe. The power lines fell to the ground, and electrical sparks started dancing wildly around. Unfortunately for Cheezel, he had cut the cable and the telephone pole too. The pole tilted and began to fall. The weasel looked up sadly and dropped the axe. She is a loyal mistress to me, he said wearily. Mashed Potato Man suddenly appeared out of the shadows and picked up the axe. You got the mistress? He grunted with his thick accent. I want a mistress. Cheezel quickly ducked between Mashed Potato Man's legs and kicked him from behind. Mashed Potato Man was now standing under the falling pole. Allow me to introduce you to her, Cheezel said as the telephone pole crashed the Mashed Potato Man. Cheezel removed a pitcher of water from his coat and poured it over the Mashed Potato Man. The electric wires began to sizzle, and Cheezel took a deep, satisfying breath. French fries, my favorite, he said, pleased to be the victor for once. At the same time, Dex and Dan were flying over the Brand X building. Using a plastic bag, Dex parachuted out of the plane. Outside the Copa Banana, Maximilius Moose gave the signal to Lord Flushington on top of the sewer cover. Lord Flushington jumped into the sewer, and as if it were a backed-up toilet, water started to come out of it. The water traveled across the floor to the out-of-control power lines. As soon as the water and power got together, they caused a massive arcing, and a lightning storm began to dance all over the city. But all the Ike's buildings were safely protected with the lightning rods. Brand X's building, however, wasn't protected, and the lightning started to burn massive holes in its cheap cardboard siding. Flushington hopped out of the sewer and landed beside Maximilius. This is a genius! These buildings were not made to withstand lightning, Flushington said excitedly. I thought that was Francois Fromage. Flushington's also French. This is what you'd call the royal flush, the moose said, smiling. Inside the Brand X war room, a squadron of exobites were refueling with nasty deservative... Deservative? What? with nasty preservative. They greedily sucked the stuff from a huge iron vat. Dex hid behind a... It's okay, Bubba. I'm almost done, Bubba. Dex hid behind a crate, then yanked on a line he'd looped around the vat. The black ooze... One second. My cat really wants to get in here. One second. Hey, Uncle Perry, I didn't see you there earlier. It's been a minute since I said that, but yeah, hi. I'm doing well. I'm just reading Foodfight, the novelization. Let's see, where were we? Exobites, black ooze. Inside the Brand X war room, a squadron of exobites were refueling with nasty preservative that greedily sucked the stuff from a huge iron vat. Dex hid behind a crate, then yanked on a line he'd looped around the vat. The black ooze spilled all over the exobites. It short-circuited them in a shower of sparks. Dex ran as the ooze spread over the floor. He saw Lady X on her balcony. She was rushing away, pushing a bound Ike in a laundry hamper. Dex got a look at the Ike. "Sunshine," he said, stunned. Lady X looked down and smiled. "You dare to defy me. Worse, you rejected me. Look at me." She's right. She's very hot. Lady X is very hot. Dex started running. "I'll save you, Sunshine." Lady X kept moving. "Bad, bad dog. Now you're going to pay with your life." "Not this time, you demented dirtbag," Dex yelled with fire in his eyes. He saw Lady X wheel the hamper through an unmarked door. Dex raced through the door and found Lieutenant X standing over Sunshine with a turkey baster in his hand. Sunshine was tied and gagged, her sunshine goodness still radiating from her beautiful face. "Sunshine," Dex shouted when he saw that the baster was filled with black preservative. One drop and his sunshine would expire. "Hold it right there, Blondie gets it," Lieutenant X growled. Dex froze and Lady X stepped from the shadows. "On your knees, dog," she said. Dex angrily dropped to his knees. The building began to shudder as Lady X looked down at him. "I always knew you were damaged goods," she said, seething. "Exterminate them both. Her first," she said to Lieutenant X. "Make him watch his sunshine fade away." "With pleasure," Lieutenant X said, pointing the baster at Sunshine. Suddenly, the weakened building began to rock. It was slowly falling apart. "Okay, then," Lady X said, running for the door. "I'll just leave you to it." Lieutenant X wasn't going to give up the fiendish pleasure of destroying Sunshine and Dex. He was about to blast Sunshine with the baster. Oh my. Dex looked down and, thinking fast, yanked at the rug he was kneeling on. Lieutenant X flipped over backward. "I thought that only worked in movies," Dex said to himself, surprised at the results. He tackled Lieutenant X and grasped at the baster. As Sunshine watched, wide-eyed with fear, she struggled in her chair. She finally managed to free one hand and yank away the gag. "Here, Dex," she shouted, tossing a handful of raisins in the air. Dex caught them all in his mouth. Sunshine smiled with pride as Dex spit them out like machine gun bullets, hitting the turkey baster with maximum force and sending it flying into the air. Dex dove for the baster as Lieutenant X dove for Sunshine. Dex hurled the baster and hit the lieutenant with it before he could grab her. The evil lieutenant fell to the floor, limp as last week's noodle salad. That was fucking weird. Dex rushed to Sunshine. She threw her arms around his neck. "Oh, Dex, I knew you'd solve my case." Dex held her tightly. "I'm sorry," he said, looking in her big blue eyes. "I thought you were..." Sunshine didn't let him finish. "I'm here," she said to the great dog detective. "We're together." Dex closed his eyes. "My world is whole again." "I never stop believing in you, Dex." Ow. Bit my tongue. Ow. Yo. Dex reached into his pocket and pulled out a faded box of raisins. "I always kept you close to my heart," he said, showing her the label. He suddenly noticed a mark on Sunshine's radiant face. "What have they done to you?" he asked. Sunshine sighed. "Brand X," she said sadly, "took my essence." "Of course," Dex said, shocked by the evil genius of Brand X. "The perfume smell, that's why it was familiar. The secret ingredient in their elixir, they turned your sweetness, your goodness into something vile." Just then, the whole room rumbled. The floor listed to one side and Sunshine began to slide away. Dex grabbed her waist. He was about to head for the door when he saw Lady X through a gaping hole in the wall. She was making her way to the exit. Chapter 22. It was turning into a rout for Brand X. In the air, Vlad and his airborne compatriots outmaneuvered the oncoming squad of exabytes, which turned tail and fled. Vlad could see that the exabytes had no black ooze left in them. Dex did it, he cheered. They're out of ammo. The squad of Ikes took off after the exabytes. They attacked, blowing peas through a straw, knocking the exabytes out of the sky. Okay. As Dex pulled Sunshine through the hole in the Brand X building, they were suddenly rained upon with a spray of machine gun fire. Brand X baked beans, the kind nobody liked, were coming at them fast, and the corner of the building they were clinging to was crumbling. This whole thing could go up at any minute, Dex said, trying to shield Sunshine. She looked into his big dog eyes. They were both about to fall into the dangerous arcs of lightning crisscrossing the aisles. As long as I'm with you, she said, nothing else matters. Suddenly, Dan's XJ-1 zoomed down, trailing a rescue ladder. The baked beans pinged off its wings, forcing Dan to veer away. Dex looked up and spotted the sniper, then took him out with his price tag gun. He looked up at Dan's plane. Only one way he can make it back in time, Dex said to Sunshine. She knew he was right. Inside the XJ-1, Dan was sweating chocolate bullets. Come on, he said to himself. You demand. You gotta be for them. But, well... what had once been Lady X's fabulous penthouse to slide apart. Ugh. What had once been Lady X's fabulous penthouse began to slide apart in huge sections. All Dex and Sunshine could do was hold on and hope. You can do it, pal, Dex said as he watched the plane climb straight up. Just believe it. Believe in yourself. Come on. That's it, Dan. Loop the loop. Sunshine clutched Dex's hand. He'll get it this time. I know he will, she cheered in her sweet voice. Dan's plane turned upside down. Dare the day, he yelled as the plane went over backward and completed the loop. He whizzed past Dex, who grabbed the rope ladder just as the cardboard penthouse fell apart completely. Dare the day and fly away, Dex, Dan, and Sunshine shouted as the XJ-1 zoomed off. Dan pulled Dex and Sunshine into the cockpit. The sun is shining again, he said, seeing Sunshine's happy face. She threw her arms around the squirrel's neck. I just knew you'd do it, Dan. Me too, pal, Dex said, patting him on the back. Me too. Dan smiled as he banked the XJ-1 into a wide turn. They headed down the main aisle. Cheering Ikes waved at the plane. Dex, Dan said, you stopped Brand X. But Dex wasn't ready to celebrate yet. Not until Lady X is discontinued, he answered. Dex, Sunshine said, looking down. Something's wrong. The lightning suddenly stopped. What's happening? Dex gasped. Somebody cut the power by the loading dock door. Below them, Ikes were screaming in terror. A human has seen us. Scatter, run. Stomping through the aisles was a giant. The Brand X sales rep, Mr. Clipboard, entered the store. What's that jalapeno? What's the jalapenos? What? What the jalapenos he doing here? Dan asked Dex. We can bet it's not for our victory parade, Dex answered as they landed the plane and ducked out of sight. I understand somebody... Oh, chapter 23, sorry. Chapter 23. I think the final chapter of the Foodfight Junior novelization. I understand somebody ordered a recall, Mr. Clipboard called out. He glowered, surveying the store with his furious gaze. Like little Ike scattered in fear as the man in black boots began to stomp through the store on a rampage. Like Godzilla destroying a city, Mr. Clipboard tore down the foil lightning rods from the buildings and stomped them down onto the floor. Dex was furious. Dan, go find Lady X. We've got a bone to pick with this guy. No, Dex, Sunshine cried. You can't. Not a human. You'll be crushed. Dex took her hand and kissed it. He looked into her eyes. Whatever happens, Sunshine, we'll always have produce. Sunshine smiled wistfully at the great detective. Dex took down the cereal aisle, running against the flow of retreating Ikes. In the chaos, he spotted Maximilius, Moose, and Lola. Maximilius, Lola, Dex cried out. Let's bring it down. You got it, boss, Maximilius cried, and the two raced off with Dex. Mr. Clipboard was stomping down the cereal aisle, crushing box after box. Dex suddenly jumped into the aisle and looked up at him. Hey, Pencil Neck, it's checkout time. You pompous pipsqueak, Mr. Clipboard snapped back. I'll stomp you into oblivion. I was hoping you'd say that, Dex said, and took off down the aisle with Mr. Clipboard at his heels. Dex ducked down the dental floss Maximilius and Lola had ducked under the dental floss Maximilius and Lola had stretched across the aisle. Mr. Clipboard, however, didn't see it. He tripped and fell, crashing headfirst onto the floor. Dex leaped aside as Mr. Clipboard's neck broke open. What? What? Oh, okay. It was like his fucking neck broke. What the fuck? They killed a guy. Sparks flew out in all directions. He's a fucking robot. Oh my gosh. I didn't see that coming. Dex leaped aside as Mr. Clipboard's neck broke open. Sparks flew out in all directions. Mr. Clipboard thrashed in the aisle for a moment and then was still, wiring hanging from the cracks in his body. A robot, Dex said as bursts of steam rose from Mr. Clipboard's ears. Did they know that? They were just prepared to fucking kill this guy. I don't think they knew he was a robot. They said, whatever it takes, we'll get this fucking shit out of here. We need to get rid of Brand X. Like, they're ready to kill a guy. Jesus Christ. Scary. An escape hatch in the back of the huge robot's head hissed open. Out stepped Lady X in a skin-tight red catsuit. What, she was in him the whole time? Extraordinary, aren't I? She said, looking at Dex. Dex was stunned. She'd been at the controls the whole time. How can this be happening? Lady X smiled and held a picture next to her face. Don't you recognize me, Dog Detective, Sunshine's old neighbor? Dex looked at the hideous picture. Priscilla, from Priscilla Pusley's genetically gigantic prunes, but you were recalled and butt ugly. Quick trip to Brazil for a little plastic surgery, Lady X said, patting her chin, then back for my revenge. So you built yourself a human robot and recalled Sunshine, then you stole her essence to make your elixir for Brand X, Dex said, rubbing his own chin. Dan's XJ1 came in for a landing, and a crowd began to gather behind Dex. All eyes were on Lady X. All I ever wanted was that sweet sunshine goodness, she shouted angrily. 2 months I sat on the shelf next to Little Miss Perfect. No one bought my beautiful genetically gigantic prunes. Dex frowned. How did you get in and out of the store? You're an Ike. Human, she said, laughing. When you look like this, you can get them to do anything. Dex nodded. So did Dan. Clever plan, Dex nodded. Noted. But Brand X is being recalled. You'll never get me, Lady X said with a villainous glee. I still have my elixir. I'll be back. But enough about me. Let's do something about you. She jumped, did a triple flip, and kicked Dex around the aisle with amazing skill and speed. Yo, dog, Dan called to Dex, shook her smacker. Boss'll never hit a day, Maximilius said, watching Lady X mop the floor with Dex. Dex was down on one knee. Lady X lifted her arm high, and a razor-sharp set of claws, cat claws, suddenly extended from her gloved hand. She was finally going to do Dex in. She was laughing maniacally when a fist smacked her jaw. The crowd gasped. It was Sunshine goodness. But I will, the Raisin Girl said, delivering a roundhouse kick at Lady X. The bimbo's mine. Oh my god, she said, following the kick with a series of martial arts blows to the head and body. Lady X's plastic surgery seemed to be coming loose with each punch and kick. I'm sorry. Her face sagged into a hideous wrinkled prune. Oh no, Dan was shocked. Sunshine slapped her back to ugly, she said to the crowd as the crowd cheered. Yay, she's ugly again. It doesn't have to end like this, Lady X pleaded, looking up at Dex. All I ever really wanted was you. Dex looked at the woman who had caused so much misery. Frankly, my dear, she said fretfully, I don't give a spam. Lady X dropped her ugly face into her hands. Dan, Dex said with a nod. Wrap her up and take her to the expiration station to recall with the rest of Brand X. I think this is the last chapter. As Dan moved Lady X to the expiration, chapter 24. As Dan moved Lady X to the expiration station, Harry Holt moved sheepishly closer to Dex. Oh, dude. Oh my, down the wrong pipe. Holy shit. Fuck. Come on, I'm almost done with this shit. Come on. I'm almost done. As Dan moved Lady X to the exploration station, Harry Holt moved sheepishly closer to Dex. I heard there was a resistance, he said to the dog detective. Call me fashionably late. Dex gave him a small grin. You may be mostly fluff, Harry, but the rest of you is pretty strong stuff. Nice work, everybody. But we've still got a lot to do. Only 4 hours until our store opens. Dr. Nustrix roached up to Dex. I don't want to do this voice again.
My disseminative antidote, he said, proudly holding up an atomizer bottle of liquid. It should work on every ike. Let's give it a whiff.
His first patient was Polar Penguin. He spritzed a cloud of the antidote over the penguin's frozen body. Dex held his breath and hoped. The little penguin began to stir. Then he opened his eyes. I knew you'd save me, friend, he said to Dex, fully coming to after his long sleep. Oh, Dex, you should be so proud. You saved us all, Sunshine said, jumping into Dex's arms. She threw a raisin into the air. Dex coolly caught the raisin in his mouth and gave her a grin. We saved each other, he said with a wink. He patted his heart, because the secret is inside all of us. Dan put his hands on his hips and looked at the cheering Ikes. All right, he said happily. Things really turned out perfect. The good old days are back. Dex nodded. With one change, I hope. He turned to his beautiful rosy raisin girl. Sunshine, will you marry me? Oh, Sunshine fluttered her lovely long lashes. Yes, Dex, she sighed. The whole store cheered as the two kissed. Dan was a little choked up until he saw Sweet Cakes look at him and give us with a little sparkle in her eyes. He brightened. Somebody's getting dessert tonight, he exclaimed. Oh my goodness. The next morning, old Mr. Leonard entered the market. He looked around at the burnt and destroyed boxes of Brand X products on the floor and his jaw dropped. Then he looked at the shelves and all the colorful boxes and cans with the old familiar brand labels were lined up perfectly. I must be dreaming, he said, scratching his head. 1 month later, Mr. Leonard was happily helping a shopper load her groceries into a cart. Captain Crispy Chips, Polar Pleasure ice cream, and Twinkleton toothpaste topped the brown paper bag. Outside, a large delivery truck rolled up to the supermarket. I've been expecting you, Mr. Leonard said cheerfully to the delivery man. He opened a crate excitedly and pulled out a brand new box of cereal. Mr. Leonard liked the looks of the colorful new box, and he read the cereal's name with a smile. New and improved cinnamon sleuth cereal. Now with sunshine goodness raisins. Looks like a bestseller to me. And that is the end of Foodfight the novelization. As it says on the back, when the lights go out in the supermarket, I'm gonna put on the ending music. When the lights go out in the supermarket and the aisles come alive at Marketropolis, an exciting city filled with living brand icons called Ikes, then one night things start going bad. Sunshine goodness, the raisin Ike mysteriously disappears and a mysterious new Ike named Lady X begins making some unwelcome changes in the store's inventory. As Ike after Ike gets recalled, Super Sleuth Dex Dog Detective and his pal Daredevil Dan discover that Lady X's plans are far more sinister than they ever could have imagined. Only one thing is for certain. There's about to be a food fight, and if the Ikes don't win it, they're gonna get cleaned off the shelves permanently. Get ready to take a bite out of the action in Food Fight, the junior novelization featuring 8 pages of full-color stills from the exciting new color computer animated movie. Well, I showed you the movie proper, and I read the whole book, and that was a whole lot of fun, and I had fun doing it. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to the Uncle Game Boy show. I'm going to do this again because I think it's a fucking good idea. And sooner or later, people are going to get on my level and realize how good of an idea it is, too, and enjoy watching it and seeing me read it. But until then, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I guess I'll just say bye. Bye. Bye.